All right, hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing One Ring today. We are continuing our Waking of Angmar campaign, and we are getting incredibly close to the end. Before we get going, I do want to thank Infinite Monkey Tales for the raid. Great timing. We were just getting started. I was saying last night to whoever the hell we were playing games with, I think it was most of you were actually there, in that like we only have a couple sessions left. I think I'm pretty sure. Like I don't think today is the end, but I think next week has the potential to be the final one. But I still don't think so. So I think we're within 4. I think we're down to 4 is where I'm at. But we'll see how things go today. As you know, if you guys just like suck on your rolls and random encounter en route to Kelech-Dûr gets you, then that's how it ends. You know, who knows?
All of these words that you're saying make me sad.
Do they? I'm sad.
Well, yeah, the end of this is definitely going to be
We gotta get ready for the second
somewhere
one.
On the bitter and sweet end. We'll see.
Okay, but we have done some world building, Melissa. We've got a whole family tree of dwarves.
That's true.
That is true.
That's true. And I do, I mean, I would guess we're coming back to One Ring relatively quick. I don't know how quickly. That's hard to say. But like, at least on the channel, I don't know on Saturdays, but definitely on the channel, because like the Moria campaign, I'm ridiculously excited to bust that out. So once that comes out and like in legit form, not just like alpha or whatever, like definitely going to try to turn that out onto at least one of the days we stream. So we'll get to see how Floy actually dies. Be great. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, which means, more. But you know, plot armor through the next 4 episodes. True. Plot armor for Floy.
Unless we only have to have a Floy plug.
Unless I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that, but I do have a solution. What if Floy dies? One of the Oathbreaker dwarves takes up the name Floy, so that he can get in on the Gladrock and bring down the rich folk of Blue Mountains, bring them down, because we have a big...
You could just not kill Floy. I feel like that's easier.
That's fair.
I'm going to test this plot armor.
It's much more like the idea of like Ripley's game
Floy.
In Lord of the Rings.
I've tried many times. Yeah. So, I don't know.
What are you saying, Stephen?
I like the idea of Ripley's game in Lord of the Rings, though, where someone just pretends to be Floy and takes the identity.
Yeah, that's what it is. Maybe it's Snagit. Maybe it's your brother. Oh, that's the other thing is we came up with a bunch of Daggett's other brothers. You want to share some of those, Stephen?
We had Baggett, who is a baker. We had, I think we had Draggett, who is a porter. I got to go through the list here. We had a few of them.
Yeah.
I was remembering
Hagrid is a wizard.
Snagit is real.
Yeah. Hagrid was Floyd. Was Long's contribution. Dwarf wizard. I said
Shagget
Shagget
was the dwarf who never shuts up.
Yeah, I said Shagget because it was like a dwarf gigolo, and I was pretty proud of that one.
Nagget never stops complaining.
Never stops complaining. So good. Oh goodness. Oh, what is our, this is definitely our flagship campaign, Eric. I don't know what would be next. Like we just, man, we've been starting up so many games this past week. We're just talking about that ahead of time because we started up Monster of the Week on Monday, this past Monday. We started up Werewolf, the new Werewolf of the Apocalypse on Thursday. I'm starting up Fragged Empire, which is a smaller indie space game, sci-fi game on Monday. And then Steven's starting up Marvel, the role-playing game on Tuesday. All of this all happening in a very short span. So, but we don't got to worry about that. We still have a few weeks left, I think, a few handful of sessions, and who knows? You know, it could go longer. I could be wrong. I've been wrong many times before. So who knows? Fragged Empire fan, awesome. FI3, we're doing the second edition, which just I think delivered Kickstarters like over the past couple of months. So we're gonna be starting that up. Very excited. I would do Star Trek, Eric, if everybody here actually knew Star Trek, but there are people here who are like, Star Trek? Is that the one with like the glowy swords? I'm like, no, it's not the one. No, that's not what that is. That's not it. Yeah, there's a second edition.
I have all the DVDs at my house.
Do you? So. Have you watched Star Trek before, Ashley?
No, Coder attempted to force me to watch the first couple of episodes. But I was cooking dinner, so I was distracted.
I'm pretty sure Gandalf's in that one too.
Yeah, for sure.
He's everywhere. Sure. What are you talking about?
Professor X is.
That is true. That is true. Steven with the plug. Oh, all right. Enough of this nonsense. Let's get started. Let's do a quick roundtable. Just say who you are, who you're playing, and then we'll get started. Long, who are you? Why are you here?
I am Floy, son of Oi, a dwarf. Not a wizard, though.
Hey, there's always next campaign. You should roll up that class. Next up, Ashley, who are you?
I'm playing Gilly Kettlegrass, our Bree Hobbit. She is our scholar and frequent bow user. You never see her get up in combat.
Bow user. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Melissa, who are you? Why are you here?
I am Iriniel, daughter of Moriel, and there are important things to do, and we are going to go do them and attempt to survive while we do it. And she wants to leave a better world for Brother Biranor.
That's true. Maybe Biranor shows up in the next campaign right off the bat. You know, they're like they crawl like through filth and blood, and they deliver a message, and they die right then and there, and it gets us immediately emotionally invested.
That there are interesting pieces of that. I'm not sure. You know, we're coming up with ideas. That is
Wouldn't
a solid
be the first
one
time.
idea.
Wouldn't be the first time I utterly wreck one of Melissa's character's siblings at the very start of the campaign.
Yeah, not killing Melissa's siblings is a theme within our games.
Which works out because in real life I'm an only child, so this is a thing that like you can feel free to do.
I'm really just protecting her. To be honest,
you're protecting the timeline.
As the youngest of two older sisters, I'm just protecting you. All right. Next up, Steven, the leader of the party. Tell us about Daggett.
Hey, I'm Daggett. I am the blue-collar dwarf compared to Floyd's upper crust nobility. I am an expert tactician, as we are learning that I'm going to fail out when we fail all these rolls. And I am here just because I think Daggett got lonely and he didn't want to be left behind. So he just kind of like followed along.
Yeah. I mean, also, I think because at first you joined up because you're trying to protect your brother and kind of look out for him. And then you just kind of hung on for a while. You just kind of hung out, stayed around.
Like, this is a cool crew. I'll just hang out.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They go places. They do things. It's kind of fun. They're just hanging around.
Then we got a new one. We added someone else to the fellowship, and things started going downhill. So Daggett's thinking about leaving now.
Oh, well, speaking of that new one.
God, wow, shots fired.
No, he can fire all the shots he wants, but Terraneth, Rage of the North, Warden is Daggett's up-and-coming best friend. Mm-hmm. So very excited about that. That's why I'm here. Shadow takes a back seat to the burgeoning relationships and forcing my friendship on Daggett.
Anyone notice how clingy Terra is?
See, Daggett doesn't like Terra because Terra's like would-be love interest kicked his ass, and that he kind of holds this against you. That's what I think it is.
It's true. I don't like that guy.
Oh goodness, this is great. Okay, we ready? It's been a couple of weeks. We had to take last week off, so let's just do a summary so everyone knows where we're at. We can get started. So last session, we began outside of Othrengol, where you had finally defeated this undead sorcerer that was at the bottom of that dungeon. You and your elvish allies, you carried the body of Sorondir, some of your you knew very well, friends, former allies. You carried Sorondir's body back to the encampment where your entire company had been hiding. Along the way, however, in this long felled and frozen forest, an ursine beast that we've seen hints of here and there, and that was buried beneath a mine in the home of Daggett's older brother, Snagget, ambushed you all and actually left I think it was Iriniel took a wound or two from that fight. Ultimately, you did defeat the creature, but it was not easy. And you also know that there are other ursine beasts out there, specifically with Braddock and with some of these orcs that are kind of training beasts. So you made it back to the staging grounds. You talked to Elro here, one of Elrond's sons, who described an encounter with trolls in a very familiar orc taskmaster that you heard and saw during the early stages of the campaign when Rotak was the sort of primary villain. And you noticed, it's kind of oddly, that they ventured due north into the mountains of Angmar rather than following the east, like kind of northwesterly slopes past Kelech-Dûr and towards Carn-Dûm. You spoke with the Dunlin dwarves and the wardens of Tharbad, who were more than successful in their sabotaging of the orcs and goblins of Mount Grom. They collapsed a bunch of tunnels on the cave warrens that those folks were calling home. They also learned about warg pens and other beast pens at a place they referred to, or the elves referred to, as the ruins of Dol Gûeath. And Lady Arisel's rangers and the Oathbreaker dwarves, they were also very successful in their scouting of Moramin Terras, which is the castle that the hill folk had taken, where the would-be King Braddock and an orcish warband from Angmar, there was some friction between them. They seemed like allies, but the hill folk would not let the orcs within the walls of the castle. He had some rest, had some debriefing, and he started to make more plans. So you decided to send the Oathbreaker doors, would return to Moramin Terras, but you would take Tharnau and the other Tharbad wardens, and they were going to try to sow some discord between the hill folk and orcs, continue to push that element. There are a couple of different theories about how they might go about doing so. Lady Arisel would take her rangers and the Dunlin dwarves over to the ruins of Dol Gûeath, and they would look for ways to sabotage those beast pens. And then the elves would unite, both those of Rivendell and of Forlorn would join together, and they would follow that group of trolls and that orc taskmaster who curiously went north just to see what exactly might be up there. And then you all decided on your own, no allies, that you would scout Kelech-Dûr, which is this icy tower that is kind of a watchtower en route to the tundra where Carn-Dûm sits. And that's where we ended, with you all making those plans and the fellowship parting. I will, however, give you all a moment, just in case, because it's been 2 weeks, if there's anything that you all wanted to do once more. As the company is breaking, I think Ariniel, you also wanted a couple days of rest to help with that wound you took. But if there was anything else that anybody wanted to do within the company before everybody breaks and kind of goes off in their directions, now's the time to do it.
So somewhere we had the body of Sorindir.
The elves are going to take care of that. Don't worry.
Okay. Ariniel would have among, kind of the base camp area, if there was some even twigs or something along those lines, sort of very adjacent, so to speak. She would sort of find a moment to kind of go over to kind of the wrappings and whatnot, kind of around where Sorindir is, and just sort of have a small moment of quiet. Mm-hmm. And she would want to thank him for all of the aid and support and fellowship that he offered to us. And a final apology for leaving him.
More than likely, the elves would probably find a place rather than take him with on their scouting venture into the mountains. So they would find a place within this vale that you all have been using as kind of a staging ground, hiding within these little tunnels and using some of the ridges. And so they would likely find a cave somewhere and keep his body there, as they're some sort of they're bringing him back to Forlorn in some fashion. But yeah, you have that moment to yourself. It could be after the elves left, after Elrohir and Amdarim got everybody together and left, but you can have that moment. Nobody else? Anybody? If there's nothing else after, we'll say, a few days, Reniel, you say your goodbyes. All of you are probably the last to leave. And when you depart from this encampment, you leave kind of like this this small alcove within the cave where Sorendir has been left. Not only Sorendir, but also the fallen ranger from when you first arrived, Falindim. The two of them are kind of being kept careful in a way, distant too, because you don't want any of these snow wargs, these other creatures, to be snuffing them out. And you begin your trek. Now, you are headed to Kelech-Dûr, which isn't that far away. It's a closer and less mountainous path that you need to take to get there than it was to Othrengul, which we all know was halfway up the mountains of Angmar itself. Kelech-Dûr is kind of west-northwesternly from the Vale, where you've kept your base camp. You know that it is kind of like the last kind of scouting point before a very flat tundra that leads to Carn-Dûm, which is at the far end, the far western edge of the mountains of Angmar. So it is this large, icy old tower that looks out above all. So I'm going to say we're going to do our skill endeavor traveling that we've been doing across Angmar. I'm going to set this as still laborious. So 6 is still going to be the difficulty for this trek. Time limit of 4, as the more time you all spend here, the greater the likelihood of your discovery. And you've actually already been discovered in some ways. So there's still some dangers. So you need to hit 6 successes before 4 turns are up, before something bad might befall you all. Remember that we're looking for the specific skills. We're looking for athletics, explore, and stealth. Those are the 3 primary ones. Anything else is going to be ill-favored, but those are the 3. Athletics, if you're just kind of hustling and pushing. Explore, if you're looking for like more efficient paths. Stealth, if you're just trying to move quietly and avoid detection and danger. Those are sort of the 3 routes to go.
So Jeff, before we kind of get into the RP of the travel, a quick bookkeeping question. So Aurenial had a 8-day injury. And so am I imagining that is now down to 5 days? So 3
that is your
nights of
guys'
rest.
call. If that's how much,
I think that is where we had landed.
Okay. Leave it at that then.
Okay.
Who wants to take the reins, take the lead on your fellowship coming out of the base camp and heading for Kelech-Dûr?
Can I start with an athletics check and then I'll go back on mute because my dog is losing his shit.
Okay. Yes, please. Athletics sounds great. All right.
I feel like the growth in Aurenial's character is that this time when she's wounded, she's not limping and complaining like she did early in the campaign when she very much had to let everyone know that her leg was bothering her. This time she is much grittier.
Aurenial really likes to share. It's like, oh, I'm so wounded and I'm so hurt, but I also don't take any fatigue when I'm traveling.
There's that.
Can I have one audience size?
Go ahead.
Thank you. That is 21 with 1 success.
One extra success, 1 6. Okay.
1
excellent.
success.
So honestly, it's with athletics, you get everyone together, even with Aurenial's wound. And I don't even think it was a leg wound. I think it was an arm wound, if I recall. It crunched down on your arm. So it doesn't.
Yes.
It doesn't slow you all down. And maybe it's because you took an extra couple of days to recuperate, but you speed out. You kind of hustle and move. It is still a dangerous trek, despite the fact that the dangers of the environment aren't like they were going up the mountains of Angmar. This path, however, you're noticing it's more about fissures in the earth, and you're finding that sometimes your footing gives way, and a sheet of ice that probably in the warmer parts of the year right now is a little bit more, thinner than others. And so you're seeing the crackling of ice and snow. You're seeing a slipperiness to some of the paths you're taking, whereas it's not necessarily about the strength of climbing up rocks. And Tara takes the lead. And much like we've seen at other points in times about the campaign, it's not a straight sprint, but you all are kind of hustling here and there. And more than once, you can hear the echoes of something in the sky above you. You hear the crunching of stone and of rocks on ridge lines, and you can see the silhouettes of what you think might be a pack of very large wargs. You don't see the signs of any more of those Ursine beasts, but you do get the sense as you push out of the base that there are beasts in the area. You don't see any signs of trolls or orcs, but you do see beasts that are beginning to circle the area a bit. And there's a very large, noteworthy pack on one of the ridge lines to the south. They don't notice you. You move with enough expediency to kind of bypass their ability to see you. And probably about a day's worth of running get you more, almost halfway there. Who would like to take up the next lead?
Anybody want to stealth us past these wargs?
That's what I was going to say I'd like to do.
Go right ahead, man.
Do we have more audience dice? Could I take one?
Go right ahead.
All right. So this is favored with 4 dice. Good thing it's favored because that would have been a Sauron otherwise.
What?
Great success. 2 successes total.
2 successes in total. Okay. I will say this: they dog you for a bit. This pack. You're not sure if they detect you or if they've seen you specifically, but more than once when you stop during the day for water or for food, and even maybe at night once when you kind of try to find a camp of some safety, you either hear their distant howls or their snarls and snapping as if they're communicating in some ways to one another, or as you're moving westward or northwesternly, you see very large paws in the grime and in the snow and in the earth, and you know that they're around. And again, there are times in which you find yourselves hiding out in these fissures that you unearth just by simply running across the ground, and you can hear the sort of the lapping, almost like a herd coming past, and you realize it's a very large pack. And we're not talking like 4 or 5. We're talking like 7, 8, 9 of these wargs, all white as snow, almost impossible to detect amongst some of the environment. And they are larger than you're probably familiar with too. Like the wargs that you face most of the time have been a little bit smaller, maybe adolescent, or maybe just. But these northern wolves seem to be very, very interested in tracking you. They never seem to stay in one place. Some days and some hours they're ahead of you. Some days it's behind you. Some days it's to the north, to the south. But they always seem to kind of be zeroing in. But Daggett, you do manage more than once to find paths that allow you to at least avoid visual notice. We are at now, in terms of the skill challenge, 2 successes left, 2 turns left. Who would like to take the lead?
Aurenia will take the lead and try to do some explore.
Okay.
Try to find the best paths forward. I'm going to roll it like I got it. And that is 8, 9, 15. That is a great success. So 1 extra 6.
Okay, so 2 successes in total.
Yep.
Aurenial, the entire trek has probably taken maybe 2 days in travel time between your camp, maybe 2.5 days, and Kelech-Dûr. And it's if you weren't trying to avoid detection, it probably could have gone quicker, as the terrain itself has been some of the least difficult. However, despite Daggett's and Tara's noticing of these different wolves and these wargs, like, they continue to dog you. And then at a certain point, Aurenial, you watch from the southwest. You see off in the distance, maybe there's a touch of setting sun far to the west that's just managing to stream out over the western lone lands. And you can see that there is a force that seems to be moving. And you can see that they're mounted. And as you watch them move past, you're looking at what appears to be about a dozen of these orcs of Angmar that are well equipped, They seem to have armor that almost shines in some ways from that sort of orange light. And they are on the backs of smaller wargs, not necessarily white, but these are a little bit more arrayed, and they seem to be moving as well. Although you can get the sense that they're not tracking you. It's just coincidence. And you watch as they push past you, and the five of you are kind of in their wake, and you seem to be going in a similar direction. You watch as they come and crest over this ridgeline, and that's when you look up and you can see that just beyond that ridgeline, this light gray, almost white tower suddenly appears before you. It is extremely large, very, very tall. You would put it in terms of stories at maybe 10 to 15 stories in some shape. Relatively narrow. You don't think that there's a great deal of space within those medium layers of the tower. You don't even really see a ton of stone. It almost has kind of a smoothness to it, like ice has frozen over it over time, and there's now this coat that just seems to cover whatever underlying construction. And as you continue to climb up the ridge and you peek out, I would put you at probably about a half mile away from what you would presume is Kelech-Dûr. You watch as these dozen orcs or so on their wargs approach the tower. You see them very carefully avoid as they circumvent this series of standing stones. The quicker path to the tower itself would be through these stones, but they seem to circumvent it entirely. They take this wide berth of them. And then you see just outside the tower, they hop off their wargs. They tie them up to what looks like these hastily built, not stables, but hitching posts. And they go inside the tower itself. There's a very large entranceway that you see all of them descend into. They leave their packs outside, but before they do, the last of the smaller orcs just starts throwing what looks like chunks of meat out onto the ground, and what was once this light gray and white stone is now just covered in these patches of red where they seem to be devouring. Beyond that tower, you can't see too far, but you can definitely see that the ridge goes up a little further and then flattens. You can still sort of see the mountains of Angmar to the north, and everything to the south kind of fades down and eventually, you assume, reaches Moramintaras. And so you all have reached Kelech-Dûr.
I have a question about this group of animals that we went past. You would mention that it was mostly coincidental. That's fine. What I didn't really understand it, and I'm not sure if you said this, so sorry if you did, but did they look like they were organized like a platoon or a squadron or anything like that, or did it just seem, was the sense that they were just kind of a pack of whelpies?
So the initial snow wargs that you saw that you and Daggett were eluding, those seem to have disappeared. But it's given rise, as Auriniel came closer to Kelech-Dûr, to this group of orcs riding this other group of wargs, and they seemed organized. They were in two clear columns. Okay. There was one orc at the very front of both of those columns, and then there was one smaller orc at the back. And
that first one didn't seem organized though. The first
one it just was a pack of wolves, like a very large pack of wolves. You think?
Got it. Thank you. I'm just thinking back to that huntsman piece of that we found in the library.
So Auriniel will kind of look to everyone. Should we spend some time and watch, assess their movements, guards?
Do you think they're a patrol? Is that the thought you have?
We have established that they do have a route that they seem to patrol, especially concerning the reports from Marim to us, where they visited, and then this potentially could be that group or another group that came from there, or elsewhere. But I think
Go ahead, Gilly. Sorry.
Just trying to get their movements down would assist us in at least getting into the tower.
Perhaps Gilly and I circle around the tower and meet with you back here while the rest of you continue to watch for patterns within movement. Get a lay of the land.
Sounds good.
Okay.
You are the stealthiest of us.
All right. Daggett and Gilly, you're going to try to stealth around. I don't want two. I just want one stealth test. One of you roll it. The other basically can give a bonus. So I know both of you are very good at this and have things that could give you potential auto successes. So just someone take the lead and do the roll.
I don't have an auto success. I've got 4 pips in favored.
Yeah, if you want to go. My whole thing is I just have a virtue.
Yeah.
Where if I get an extra sex, I can disappear. But if we're rolling together, we'll just have you roll and then take my assist.
Okay. So I get 1 more die for her then, or
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, extra die for her.
And then don't forget your cloak.
That's where I got my 4th pip from. Otherwise, it'd be 3. That is 3 successes. No gambies.
Okay. All right. So if you're just trying to do, how close do you want to get? How close to the base of the tower do you want to get? I would say the tower.
I wouldn't ever.
The tower tapers off, I should say, by the way, where the base is obviously is obviously a little bit rounder than the top, and there's not a great deal of places to hide. There are, what you can see are those scattered standing stones and such that the orcs were very careful to avoid. There are a lot of those that are scattered about. There are no trees whatsoever in the area. And there are those hitching posts that are at the very, very base, and there's some stairs that lead up to the first floor. But it is a very flat area with a ridge that then leads up to what looks like a tundra to the west. So it's just, you tell me, how close do you want to get?
Gilly, you can say what you're thinking. I don't think I'd want to get closer than like a quarter mile. I'd like to just know the lay of the land, know if there are other roads and routes inside. Maybe there's a door in the back that we didn't see. Just general information. What do you think, Gilly?
Yeah, that works. And then maybe if we're feeling adventurous, avoid the wargs, obviously, but check out those standing stones to check them. Because the ones in the center they avoided, so I'm thinking maybe there's a possible pitfall. But I wonder if there's anything going on with the other ones as well that we need to be aware of.
Sounds good.
All right, so the two of you stealth off, get closer. You still stay within about you get maybe about halfway there between where you are and where your fellowship members are. You are close enough that you can kind of observe those stones without actually going through them. I'll tell you this, Gilly, one of the things you do recognize, and it's good that you are here, is that you see that each of them bears a carved rune of some kind, a language, something. You would find these familiar as you've seen them on the hills of Rudaur before. There was a moment where you all were traveling. This was so very long ago, and this standing stone on this dark hill in Rudaur, this is your first trip here, kind of caused this strange moment of coldness to overtake. I think it was Auriniel and you.
Yeah,
and
I passed and it grabbed Auriniel and left a frost burn mark on her arm, right?
These look very similar to that. Now, it's hard to say if the runes are exactly right. You'd have to get a little closer, but because you're here specifically, Gilly, that is likely what will come to mind as you see these things. And they are scattered about. And you can tell that there aren't many routes towards the tower that would completely avoid coming relatively close to a radius around these things. That's one thing you would notice. Mm-hmm. The second thing you notice as you guys circle around, there is like a ramp that leads up probably another half mile or so up a ridge and then flattens, like the land just flattens above to the northwest. You would think that's the route that would take to the tundra that goes to Carn-Dûm. I would say calling it a road is overstating it, but it's certainly flat land. Like it doesn't look like it's a difficult path whatsoever. The third thing you would notice is that there is no back door, Daggett, but there are up the tower. There are what appear to have been once balconies of some kind. You can see the rubble, the crumble, where whatever the standing spot would be, and it looks as though the entire entry point has been overrun with ice. It's like this full, thick, sheeted ice that seems to cover where those are, but you can very clearly see the arcs where those openings would have been. And then when you come around, I'll say give me a scan test, actually, as you kind of come and circumvent all the way around, and then you start kind of passing these wargs. I did roll to see if the wargs would detect you, and you can definitely see that they're not. But if you were to get any closer, I'm going to re-roll it. But right now, they don't seem to have drawn. You don't seem to have drawn their attention.
You want to roll the scan, Gilly?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Uh, 10, 18, 22. So success, but no extra.
Okay. You see that there's some of them are injured. Like you can see that they've suffered of some kind. Like a few of them have, and they're not old wounds, but you can tell some of them have like these patches of matted down fur where you can tell is likely blood. They're not like bleeding onto the ground necessarily, but you can tell that they're recent wounds.
What do you think that could be, Gilly? They had a run-in with something fierce.
Could I do like a visual healing test?
No, I mean the scan test is what you can get from a distance. Like if you want to do a heal test, you would literally have to be like examining them.
Yeah, no.
If you want to go do that, though,
I do not.
I'm supporting you in those efforts.
No. Could I do like, because how I'm picturing this is Daggett's kind of leading and Gilly's following, and she's making notes of the stones and she's kind of peeking at the wargs, but mostly leaving that to Daggett. And she's also kind of obsessively watching the tower to make sure no one has noticed us. Could I do a danger awareness roll? Like, because she's just checking to make sure like there's no oncoming.
Sure. Yeah, you can roll awareness. Yeah. Just it's just sort of a general danger sense, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly. Make sure nobody's coming out or anything. That's a great success.
Okay. Two things. Since you got a great success, two successes basically, so I'll give you two things. One, as the two of you went around the tower, when you look up, the very top of the tower is dark, whereas like it almost darkens up to the top. And there's like a swirling mist that's kind of around the area just in general in Angmar, pretty much everywhere you go. But you can see that it seems to be almost darker towards the top in some ways. And you never get the sense, Gilly, as you travel around, that you're not seen. Like the whole time around, you just feel something's eyes are on you. However, no orcs come running out. the tower. No wargs seem to even notice you, but you feel the hairs on the back of your neck kind of, rise up, kind of feeling. Maybe you look behind standing stones or this or that just to see if something hidden is looking at you, and you never quite see it, but you feel it. The second thing is, as you all are coming around from the northwesternly side, and you get close to that ramp that goes up to that flattened tundra, you can see like a wisp of fog and earth and dust, almost like this little mini like cyclone. Very small, like it's nothing big at all. It's just the wind kind of tussling around. But as you watch, it almost seems like it's tumbling all the way down the ridgeline in your direction, and it just dissipates, maybe within about 30 or 40 feet of you and Daggett. And as it does, you hear a voice. Just, you think it might be wind, but it sounded like a voice. Couldn't really imagine exactly what it said, but it was a very rough sounding as that little cyclone dispersed.
Did it seem like black speech at all?
That I don't think you got enough.
Okay, got it.
I think we've seen enough. Perhaps we should rejoin the fellowship.
Yes.
As they've been kind of tracking this patrol, Tara is very specifically looking at this group from the distance that they have to see if there's any sigils or anything that can be brought up, and or anything that strikes anything. And secondly, would like to inspect the entrance and any carvings or anything. And I do have shadow lore as or shadow wooden or whatever that is called. Sorry. Shadow lore.
It's your distinct.
Yes.
It's a distinctive feature given to you by
That's
Ranger.
exactly right.
Warden,
I'm wondering if that comes into play at all for either of these.
Okay. So let's do a scan test for you as well as you're looking out towards. Actually, we already did scan. I'll give you a lore test.
Hell yes.
And take an extra die. You'll take
lore.
You can take a die from the shadow lore. If you wanted to spend a hope, you can do it inspired and get two dice if you wanted to spend a hope. Because your shadow lore will apply here.
Yeah, sure. Why the hell not?
Yeah, you're
I'll need
not
that
at
hope
all in
later.
danger of being miserable. You're fine.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a 30 with 2 6s.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you for suggesting the hope and the extra, because that's the one that came up as a 6.
I am a fan of you guys, so I want you all to do great before I kill you. All right, so.
No, I mean, all the highs before you kill us is what makes the death so epic.
Everybody but Floyd. All right.
A hawk.
You never see Gilly Kettlegrass in any of the stories. Never pops up. Why is that?
Hey, she
okay.
got married.
I'm about to hurt. I'm about to hurt y'all a little bit.
Who?
Tara. Oh, well, we're gonna put a pin in that. We're gonna come back to that. Who Gilly is? Tara, as you're looking out at these wargs, you're a little bit further away. But maybe you get a touch closer. Maybe you don't, not to the point where I'm going to require a stealth test, but you get a little closer, kind of use your eyes, squint a bit. The fog lifts at just the perfect time. And you watch as these wargs, they're not laden the way horses might be with packs and saddles and things like that, but they do have straps. They do have some things that are crudely tied to them here and there. And while you don't notice any like orcish displays of insignia, there is something you do very much see, and that there is a garment, a blood-soaked garment that seems to be draped over the rear of one of these wargs and tied around what almost looks like a saddle that looks very much like this insignia, the tunic that some of those from Tharbad wear.
Tara's heart plummets. And she grabs onto Renil and is visibly kind of shocked and shaken.
What?
That's those are Thorbads. And she can't finish that sentence.
Oh, I'm sure that I'm sure they've been successful. I'm sure there's another explanation, and she's sort of looking to Daggett and Floy for support, because she is trying desperately to be comforting to her friend, but she is not quite being truthful.
It is that is the mark of victory. You do not carry the blood-soaked vestments of your enemy if you have lost.
Did we not send them to gather the vestments of others and hide? He would have needed to rid himself of his clothes to take on the clothes and stealth inside.
And she kind of tries to steal herself, and it's not going well. and she starts kind of fiddling with this new cloak pin that she didn't used to have, and now all of a sudden she does, and her hand kind of goes up to it and just starts kind of feeling it. Almost kind of like worrying at it, like as if it was a lucky rabbit's foot or something that you can just kind of fidget like a fidget spinner.
Sure. Should we? And she sort of looks to the captain of the group. Should we go and investigate?
So before Daggett and Gilly returns, I do want to check in with Floy. Floy, was there anything you were doing while Gilly and Daggett did their scout, while Tara peered at the wargs and had the conversation with Aurelio? Was there anything that Floy was doing in all this time?
Yeah, while we're at the outskirts, try to get an idea of what this building may be for, maybe what it's overlooking.
Sure. Okay, you can roll a battle. You can roll you can I would say a battle probably makes the most sense. You can make a lore test as well if you wanted.
I'll go battle here.
Okay.
Now with 2 pips I failed.
Okay. I mean, it's a tower, and it's a watchtower. It seems like that's the obvious answer. Whether there's more to it, you're not sure, but very easily that's something that anybody would probably put to it. But whether there's a alternative use of it, you're not sure.
Then I'll just wait for the others to return.
We'll say then at this point, Daggett, Gilly, you return. Tara, Aurenial, you've just had the conversation. Floy, you've been sort of scouring your brain a bit here, trying to figure out what this thing is for. But all of you are now back together. I'm going to put the time of day at evening time. It's twilight, sort of, as the sun is going down in the west, as we said. So that's where we're at.
There are some dark spells upon this place.
Yes. Auriniel, you remember that stone? I attempted to get etches from it and it cast magics against us, I believe. You got that horrible frost burn on your arm.
And without thinking, Auriniel, you've seen her. She's sort of clasped at her arm a bit. Yes.
I can't,
friend, I remember.
I can't confirm if these are the same, but considering how, and she turns to look at the tower, frozen, it seems to be. It seems they're probably something similar. I didn't dare confirm the radius of the stones, of the magics.
Glad you did not.
We should avoid them, and possibly follow the same steps that the orcs did, as that seems to be a safe egress to enter. I noticed, look at the top of the tower. It's so dark, and I couldn't help but feel that we were being watched the entire time we were walking, but I couldn't identify anyone actually watching us.
Nor did we. We did not see anyone coming after you.
It's unsettling. I feel like it was coming from the tower.
Speaking of unsettling, Tara has. I'm not sure if you noticed the bloodied clothing. Was
what?
symbols
Daggett noticed
of
they were
Tharnau.
wounded.
The
Tharnau.
wargs were wounded recently.
Tharnau specifically, or Tharbad?
Tharbad.
And Auriniel will sort of look over to Tara.
You're muted.
On those. Oh,
There you are. You were just quiet.
sorry. It was Tharbad's bloody insignia on their standard, and what that says to me. And she sounds really hollow when she's speaking, and with a melancholy that is very uncharacteristic for Tara. Was typically quite almost glib in a lot of ways. And what it says to me is that they were at least ambushed and their numbers are significantly fewer, if not failed in their mission entirely.
We don't know that for sure. And Gilly will reach over and rest a hand on your wrist. Tharnau has something very important to fight for. And she squeezes your wrist. I don't believe that he would give up that easily. You must have faith. You must have hope. And Titus is there anyways. I'm sure that they're fine.
At the memory of Titus, Tara smiles. You've always had an excellent way of shoring everybody up around you. You see a light in the darkness when it's
I both
difficult.
envy you and I don't, for you've found love, but you found it here in all places.
Completely erratic.
Yeah. I'm scared enough for things to happen to my friends. I couldn't imagine someone that I felt like that for. But you must use that to your advantage to fuel your fire, to fight this fight, and to see things through.
If you're okay with it, Ashley and Tara will hug Gilly.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, she turns to Daggett, Floy, and Auriniel. It's time for... Should we move forward or wait until the orcs leave?
From what I've heard, they've just returned from battle. This is the best chance we get. Catch them off guards.
Use the night for cover.
It does seem once we get inside, we will have to check out the upper floors. I do worry that there is dark magic afoot up there, so we must be very careful.
I would have said it's at least several yards.
And
Would
Gilly just shakes her head.
I generally agree that cover of night is wise, though if Gilly believes that we have been seen, would waiting for cover of night not allow for those inside to set up for their defenses?
I can't.
This is their home.
confirm.
I don't know if they would defend it more than they already have.
Do we know in meta storyteller? Do we know if like that orcs are stronger without sunshine?
There are a lot of orcs, goblins, and various other creatures
Okay,
that,
so
that
that
hate,
might not
literally
be
hate
relevant.
sunlight. But you're also in Angmar, so when we're saying there's sun, it's not like
Sure,
other places.
it's the concept of sun.
Yeah. So definitely, they're not. I like the place is so overcast that if you were to draw them out and fight them out here, I would not
We wouldn't
enact
get the
their hate
benefit.
sunlight. Yeah, just because
Yeah.
of it's just too dark in Angmar.
Okay, so time of battle doesn't affect our ability to have said battle.
Not in this case. It's probably not going to apply here.
That's helpful to know. Thank you.
I'm ready to move in.
Same.
All right. So you all are going to approach. Are you just going to go right in that front archway?
Yeah, those balconies, like you said, they were frozen over. There'd be no way to really penetrate that ice, right?
I mean, you'd have to get closer and hammer through it, and you don't know how thick it is. It looked fairly thick from where you were, from when you were on the ground, but you would need to climb up a tapered vertical tower and then smash away at it. It's theoretically possible, but how difficult it would be and how long it would take, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, and how loud
And it
would
would
that
give
be?
Exactly. Yeah, I think we head towards the front door then.
Okay.
Stealth, definitely.
Okay.
Is there any
Now-
benefit to trying to take out the warg riders outside before going in, or would that just stall our entry?
That has the potential to announce our entry even more, especially if they start growling and yipping and
Well, the thing is that you're unlikely to be able to get through the gate to that front entrance point without getting very,
Being
very
noticed.
close to these works. Like
Got it, okay.
There's a hitching post like right outside the steps that go up into the tower, and you would need to climb those steps. And so you're like walking right past that the hitching post where they were kind of tied up to. Not saying you can't do it, just there is that to think about. Like you could do stealth. I would do stealth from everybody though in this case, just to see how that would go.
how many wargs is there, Jeff?
You saw 12, so 12 riders, 12 wargs.
Okay.
Okay.
How flammable are the posts they're hitched to?
You don't see a ton of wood in all of Angmar, and what you do is sort of like petrified or frozen over. But I would say that Daggett was probably close enough to realize that they were wood. So probably.
I wouldn't mind starting a little commotion before we head in.
Good call. Good call.
All right.
They're going to be noisy anyway, so we might as well start a fire and draw the attention.
Okay. Okay, well, let's walk me through it then. So, just to set the scene, large tower, stairs that go up to the entranceway, hitching post at the base of the stairs, standing stones that are scattered all about. There's a very clear, narrow path where you can travel between them, which you've seen. So the question then is, who is doing what? Who is where? I just kind of want to kind of get an idea of like who is stealthing up, who is trying to set fire, how are you trying to set fire? Like just walk me through how it is, and then I'll probably just take a few rolls and we'll go from there.
I could try to set the fire by doing the fire arrow thing where I oil it up and shoot a couple of the posts.
That works.
I'll head in directly, just avoiding the stones.
Okay. Are you okay? You're just going straight up the middle. Gilly, you're firing from a distance. Where are Irineo and Daggett and Terra amongst all of this?
Terra's going to be providing Gilly with sort of bodyguard duties.
Okay.
I should just like with Gilly and kind of making sure Gilly can do what needs to be done.
That sounds great.
Okay. Then Daggett's sticking with Floy.
All right, so the two of you are just going right up the middle. Are you trying to be stealthy or trying to avoid sight, or are you just going to charge in at the wolves as Gilly's arrows rain over your head?
I'm charging at the reins. I'm not going to be stealthy.
Okay. Good to know. And then Irineo.
I would say Irineo is going to be with Gilly and Terra. So got a 3 and a 2.
Okay. So Floy, Daggett, the two of you begin trudging kind of up the path. And Gilly, you kind of getting the arrows ready. You're getting them lighted. I mean, honestly, Irineo and Terra, if you have bows, there's no reason you also can't fire arrows too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that could be quicker for us to get involved.
So what I'll say is, Floy and Daggett, give me athletics tests to see how quickly you can kind of traverse the terrain and avoid any kind of pitfalls. Gilly, Irineo, Terra, both all three of you. If you're firing a shot, go ahead and give me a shot. Give me a combat proficiency roll with a bow. And this is effectively going to sort of spur a combat, basically.
Okay. So
Daggett being the
go
old
ahead.
man dwarf that he is, he's going to use his runes to spend a hope for an automatic success.
Okay. It's a great success, right, Floy?
Yes.
Okay.
That ends up being a great success for me as well.
All right. The two of you, dwarves are natural sprinters. So you're huffing. And then once you get kind of to the edge of the standing stones, almost to the point where the wolves would be able to kind of perk up and see you. They've been eating and now they're kind of like, some of them are sleeping. Some of them are still eating. A few of them are probably in the position where they could perk up and see you. You two just bolt. You've moved past. You hear these strange sounds now that you're running between these spread standing stones. You hear this like cackling, like this kind of like just coming out of nowhere, and nothing happens other than that. And it's almost like they're just laughing at you as you run past. Meanwhile, arrows begin to fly over top of your heads. Gilly, Terra, Irineo, how'd you do with your shots?
17 with 1/6.
Okay. So you see, you're all are just trying to sort of set the hitching posts on fire, right? You're not necessarily trying to hit the wargs themselves. You're just trying to like cause a fire and get them to panic in some way, right?
That was my understanding.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'll say that you're able with 2 successes. You see one of the sections where these 12 wargs have been sort of tied loosely to just go up in this flame all of a sudden, and it catches quickly. Gilly and Irineo, how'd you do?
Regular success.
Extraordinary.
All right, Gilly, same thing. Yours, you fire one and you quickly load another and you fire a second. There's probably like 4 different batches. Terra and Gilly, you get yours up and they just start going up into great and immense flame. Irineo, there's one more in the corner that you see that they miss. You take an extra second and you fire. It almost, as it's kind of coming down, it almost skips off the top of one of those standing stones, but it manages to land what looks like in like a pack of like orc gear that they just dropped on the ground. That bursts into the flames, and now there's a flame. There's like kind of this wall of flame that's separating the wolves from the wall of the tower. All of them perk up, and you can hear a few of them start to bark and howl. But before they're able to do anything, Floy and Daggett, you've traversed enough ground and you are right on them. Go ahead and both of you can make an attack. And then we will go into actual battle at this point. And let me know how you do. No. I'm sorry, they have one parry. So adjust that for your target numbers.
I'm a 17. Great success.
Okay.
Did they roll Sauron though?
Oh boy. All right.
I'm sorry, I'm bad at math.
No worries.
16, 20. Great success for me as well.
Okay. Both of you give me your total damages.
14.
14. Okay.
14 as well. And
Are
if
you
they
both-
have attribute 7 or lower, they get knocked back.
Okay. Are you targeting the same, separate?
Separate.
Okay. Both of you come leaping in and you bury your axes into the backs of these creatures. You hear this horrific yelp that if their muzzles weren't already coated with blood, you might feel a touch sorry for them. But they rear back, these huge fangs dripping with tissue and meat from their recent feeding. They are still alive. However, one of them, Daggett, as their head snaps out at you, you just take the butt of your axe, and you just sort of knock this one off its feet and sort of push it back into the fire, as I already had stated that is there. And so they basically catch on fire. So one of these is caught on fire. All right. We're going to then continue in a combat. I will go ahead and set up this really fast while you guys are... yeah, so let's... so I said, what did I say, 12? Okay.
Yeah, you said
So
12.
it's 4, 6.
I thought he said 7.
I'm pretty sure I said 20. All right, so there
Oh,
are
gosh.
12 wolves.
It was 4. It was 4.
When you start
Suddenly,
making tokens
there
on
they
the...
are.
Like, there's a lot, right? When you start looking at it. There's very-
Right? Like, eek.
All right, so let me add them to our
Oh.
character.
Us dwarves will take 3 each. You all just have to take 2 each. It's not that big a deal.
You guys just hate focus firing. Like, I even asked the question, like, yeah, you guys talking? No,
I
just
noticed that.
hate focus firing. Okay.
Like, oh, we did so much damage. I mean, we don't want to waste any. That could have been too much.
I'm just going to put these, just for sanity's sake, into, we'll say, groups of 3. Oh, I can't. I shouldn't put it over there. I don't want you to see that token. It's a special token. And then I'm going to say...
That feels ominous.
adorable.
You don't want to know what that token is, my Trey. You don't want to know what that one is. It's enormous. Okay. Go ahead and set your stances. I'm going to say for this round, that was like a kind of a surprise. I'm going to say a second opening volley. So anybody who was back in firing, I'm not going to apply on this round necessarily the rules for a range. So if all 3 of you wanted to take another ranged attack, you're welcome to. So Tara,
Yes, please.
Ari, and Gilly, you can take a ranged attack. You all would know enough that
start the
wargs
combat
are very
for stances.
fast. Oh yeah, thanks. There we go. Okay.
Should we be moving our tokens up closer to Cardoom or
I just moved them over a little bit. This is all just like
Sure.
abstracted, just for you to
Sure,
track of this.
Got it. I was asking specifically because Florian Dagger engaged with groups that we don't have line of sight to. Is that right?
You have line of sight of them. You just shot arrows at them, and you set fire
so
to
it's
the things
same
they were
groups.
hitched to.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. And there is a fire basically, and that's going to be an issue here as well. And the dogs are all, and the wolves are all yelping, and you did know that there were about a dozen orcs that went inside.
Got it. Thank you.
Reniel shot an arrow and missed.
Okay. Well, we're going to go in order. So, actually, you're right. No, we should do an opening volley first. So, so Reniel, you shot an arrow. Gilly, you can go fire an arrow for, we'll call it opening volley.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got a 16, 25, so I hit 8 damage and roll for wound.
Okay. Are you targeting any of the ones that Floy or Daggett have attacked, or are you targeting something different?
I'm targeting the one that Floy attacked.
Okay. All right. I will roll for it. I will roll my armor. Let's see. That is an 18 on my protection roll. How's that?
I needed a 16, so you pass.
Okay, so Floy, you see an arrow just suddenly explode into the side of one of these wolves, and it is still standing, but you can see that it's on the verge of collapsing to the ground. Everything that you fired miss. And Terra, meanwhile, was closing the distance and is now going to sort of leap in. Now, I am going to now set some targets. So I'm going to give Terra her own set of 3 wolves to deal with. I'm going to give Daggett his own set of 3 wolves to deal with. I'm going to give Floy his own set of 3 wolves to deal with. And because these creatures do have a leaping ability, you're going to see those are all going to start running after those that are firing the arrows. All right,
Amazing.
Terra and Floy, you are the ones in your forward stances. Go ahead and roll away.
Flo, you go ahead. I'm getting my dice set up.
Yeah, I'm going to swing at the war that's being pelted with arrows.
Go for it, man.
Regular success for 7 damage.
All right. You, as this thing suddenly shudders from this force of arrow in its side, looks up at you, and it tries to snap at you. You see its fangs coming out, and it's almost this mercy slaying at this point as you bring the axe back down, and it collapses underneath you as that one is now deceased.
Cobra's Cleaver, having taken one out, it's
Nice.
a cleaving ability. I can immediately attack a second engaged enemy.
Go for it.
Nice.
Also another success for 7.
7 points of damage, and as this
yes.
as one falls, this other you can see it's trying to pull off the tug of the hitching post, and the hitching post kind of collapses a bit as it does, and then it snaps out at you, and you manage to catch it just because it was tethered. All right, let's see. Next up, Terra. You're also in forward stance.
23 with my spear with Gandhi.
Okay, I need a roll for wound.
Yay.
2, 4, 6, 10. That's an 11 on my protection roll.
What do I have to give you?
It's your injury rating of your weapon. I failed, so this is going to take a wound. Terra, describe how you kill this thing, as it is going to take a wound. Yeah, one shot.
This is that soldier training, and she has a renewed resolve from having seen what may or may not be Tharno's cloak on the back of one of these things, and so she jabs her spear behind its windpipe and just yanks it forward.
It tries to howl, but it's just this guttural eruption of like blood and saliva as it falls. Okay. We'll go into open stance. Aurenial, you can see, having snapped free from the aflame hitching post and chasing after those of you that have been fire arrows, you can see on this sort of path between these sets of standing stones, 3 of these wolves are leaping and running and leaping and running. You know that wolves, sometimes they have this great leap ability. They can kind of close the distance, quickly drop your bow, pull up the sword, and kind of stand the ground between yourself and Gilly as 3 wolves begin to surround you. What do you want to do?
I definitely just kind of attack the one that's right in front of me.
Okay.
Would you say, I know last session when I had just got the injury, we kind of dropped Minozagar down to being one-handed instead of two-handed. I still have the injury. I'm down to like 3 days left with it.
No, I
think
think
it's still
you can use it
one-handed.
normal. No, you can use it.
Okay.
Normal. You can use it.
Okay. Appreciate that. That is a success and 2 6s. Which
give me the total damage or whatever it is you want to do with those 6s.
Yeah. So if I put all of them to damage, that would be 5 plus 14, 19.
19 points. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. One of them comes charging in, and you almost just brace yourself. You just hold Minozagar out, and it just comes leaping up at you as if it's trying to get over top of you onto Gilly, and you thrust the sword right into its belly. You see a chunk of its innards just fall and collapse onto you. It falls to the ground as well, scatters about, slips, stands up, and despite losing an organ or two from your cut, it is still up and ready to snap at you.
Oh, damn.
Daggett, protection. You're in protection or defensive stance. You knocked one of them back. What would you like to do?
I'm going to hit at the one of the two that was not knocked back, and I'd like to take an audience die if we have them.
Go right ahead.
Oh, that is a horrible, horrible roll.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, that's a miss. I rolled a 1, 1, 2, 2, 3. So
oh my gosh, that's like my previous roll. Just really low numbers.
Okay. So you swing, and they are just too... I mean, they're very elusive. You could tell they're injured. They're moving a little bit more sluggishly, but you, for some reason, are as well. You just feel that
I'm winded from that sprint.
It's also the weight of Block Fong seems heavier. You go to swing down and you can see like it just moves a little bit more slowly in some ways. It almost feels as if the gravity, the fall of the blade itself is not quite on the angle in which you were trying to exert. And it collapses onto the ground, the warg dodging out of the way. Gilly, you see Auriniel has put herself between you and a group of wargs, but they are eyeing you fiercely. What would you like to do?
I want to attack the same one that Auriniel attacked.
Okay.
I got a great success.
Okay.
And it's a 9, so that's still because of my weapon. Rolls for a weapon, for a wound.
Give me the always give me the damage first, because sometimes it makes the point moot.
8.
Okay, see that's enough. That's enough to take it out. So
got it.
This thing scrambles up to its legs. You can see it, organs falling out of the slash, and it's about to lunge again at Auriniel when we hear just the whistle of an arrow over your shoulder, and it just gets it right in the neck in front of you, Auriniel, and then that just lets it collapse finally to the ground. All right. Okay. I am going to roll a die to see if the orcs have heard any of this yet. Okay. And I'm going to roll a die to see how much damage the one that you knocked into the fire would be taking. Okay. It stumbles out, Daggett. Its fur ablaze, but it is not yet dead. All right. So I'm going to do a couple rolls here. We'll start with Terra. Each of them get 1 attack, so I'm just going to do 2 attacks. On Terra, first one's going to go. It's going to try to snap and bite at you. It's going to be 23 with 1 success. I will use that success to use the Pierce ability to kick my feet die up and make you make a injury test, a protection roll.
Can you remind me what I need to roll? I don't roll protection very often.
Yeah, it's a D12 plus a number of D6s equal to your armor. You're wearing a leather shirt and the helm of the Red Hills, so you have 2 D6s. So roll a D12 and 2 D6s versus you need a 14.
Okay. I got a 14.
Okay. So the jaws clamp down on you. You feel the full force of it on your wrist, but it doesn't quite pierce through the skin, but you feel your bones of your forearm kind of crunch. You're still going to take 6 points of damage, but you are not going to take the injury. While you're trying to get your arm free, the second one on you will also snap and will miss. You manage to just shove it off with your left arm, as I rolled more 1s than I think any person should ever have to ever roll at the same time. Then Floy, on you are in forward stance too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. That's going to be... I'm in the 20s with a 6, but I'm not close enough to do anything with it. So I'm just going to make it a heavy blow, and you're going to take 12 points of damage as this thing lunges out.
Gosh.
And it finds a spot, perhaps, where the mithril is not quite covering, and you just feel the teeth sink into maybe like a bulging portion of your hip or the underside of your belly, and you just feel the teeth sink in. The second one will do the same. And I will do the same thing I did with Tara, as again, I'm in the 20s. I'm going to do another piercing blow. So take 5 more points, Floy. I'm sorry, 6 more points of damage of endurance loss. And then make a protection roll against 14.
17.
Okay. So you just take the damage from that. Let's see. Aurenial. There's 2 on you. 8, 10. That's a 12. That's a miss in the first one. It's a 10, 12. It's a 15. So does 15 hit Aurenial?
No.
Okay,
16
that's
is
a
a
miss
number.
as well. Okay, so both of them
Nice.
are snapping out. They're stumbling over the carcass of their other, and they're unable to get you. Daggett, only 2 are going to get onto you as the other one had to stumble back. You are in defensive stance, so I lose a die. 11's a miss. Okay. That's a 10 on my feet die. 16, 21, 23 in total. I do have 1 extra 6. This is going to hurt, actually. Make a protection roll against 14. And then also take 12 points of damage.
Good gracious.
So
really,
don't
really
go
like the
forget,
second
into
one.
defensive.
knockback is a feature. You can take half that damage. But
Yeah,
your
but
next
then I'm
turn,
gonna have
you
when
have
three
to get
biting
up.
on me
even
next
with
turn.
the piercing blow, you can
Uh,
take a knockback even with a piercing.
Yeah, I mean, he's still
Yeah,
going to take
so-
the damage, and he still has to make the protection roll, but he can take knockback to lessen to half the damage, basically.
Got it. Thank you.
25 on the protection. I'm gonna take all 12.
Okay. 25's too high, actually. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, it's like you just go around. It's like a clock.
I'm overqualified.
All right. And that is it for their attacks. The orcs are not storming out of the tower yet, so it's possible they did not notice. We go to the top of the round. Tara and Floy are still in forward stance. Is that where you want to be?
I'm
Yes, that's
gonna
fine.
modify mine.
Okay. All right, then Floy, you're still in forward stance. You get these 2 in front of you. Go right ahead, man.
I'm a bit more weary, but I'm going to return the favor on this wolf here.
Do it.
I went forward too to switch.
Yeah,
That's
boy.
Sauron, and everything is below 3, so that's a 1.
You
Oh,
got a
that sucks because you're
Sauron?
weary.
Okay.
Oh no. We really
Wait,
are going to
that's
die
pretty
here.
brutal.
You know
hear
what
it-
Jeff says?
You hear it
No,
cackling.
it's fun. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, we all made the play for having eagles swoop in and save us. So I'm sure it's fine.
Floyd, you hear that same cackling come from a few steps behind you. You turn around. You look over your shoulder as you're kind of trying to dodge the attacks of this wolf. You see, for a moment, something emerge from one of those standing stones. It reminds you of the creature you fought when you were in the angle. The wraith that kind of assaulted your dreams. Just for a very moment, you just see this undead face come out, and you feel a gust of ice and snow, this dark bolt kind of come in your direction and almost sort of sends you flying. I need you to roll a wisdom test. So this is a shadow test against
Okay.
sorcery. So this is
I
a
have
wisdom.
3 wisdom.
Okay, man.
That's a fail.
Oh,
Okay.
Floy.
Floy, take 2 points of shadow.
Brutal.
And Long, what do you think is the most memorable wound? What is the wound that Floy remembers most? That when the weather is cold and you can feel it aching, or in your dreams, maybe it comes back to you at some point. What is the wound that you most remember as Floy?
Definitely one was underwater, and that beast with tentacles poisoned me. So that discoloration in my chest, it like burns there.
You cough and you see this dark water erupt from your mouth out of nowhere. You watch as it spills down your clothes, over the exposed portions of mithril where these wolves have managed to tear free, and you see it splash onto the wound that the wolf just bit into. And you realize in this sudden horror that the wound that you suffered from that thing in the water beneath the Rudauer Keep has reopened. You are wounded, and it's the same wound that you took when you were back in that Rudauer Keep. So go ahead and mark wounded. Okay.
Yikes.
Daggett.
I'm concerned.
Should be.
I'm taking another audience die because I've been rolling horribly. And
Remember when I asked if you guys focus fire?
Guys, we should just turn around and let Angmar keep napping. Like, we shouldn't wake Angmar.
I am
didn't
not
think it was
attacking
going to be
the
the
injured one.
wolves that killed you. I thought it would be the other things inside that are going to kill you.
Established.
We're not even going to get.
That is 3 successes. So I can't make it piercing, so I'm just going to do 21 endurance. And if it's 10 or less, it gets knocked back.
This is one of the ones you've attacked before?
No, I said it's a new one.
New one? Okay. It's still alive, but you will knock this one back into the fire as well. So I'll have one of them knocked back into the fire. I'll roll it now as it's very close to death. I'm just going to roll the feat die to see how much damage it's going to take from the fire. And as you knock this thing back into the fire, you see one of the hitching posts and where some equipment had been stacked up and is now ablaze, collapses on top of it and actually kills it, as it did 4 points of environmental fire damage on it, which was enough to kill it. Okay, so you do in fact take one out. All right. Arinial is an open stance. You've got 2 on you. You're trying to keep Gilly able to continue firing. What would you like to do?
Yes. I'm going to take 5 for favored. See if I can do a good roll with this. So I'm going to pick another one in this group to attack. The number of ones that have been rolled today is so...
I hear you.
Gosh darn annoying.
Unacceptable.
There were a couple that I rolled against Tara where I'm like, that's a lot of ones. Did I roll the right die?
It's not just me.
Yeah.
It's just like starting the
It's not
session over,
just
guys.
you.
Let's rewind it like an hour and a half.
I agree. I agree. All right, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We're playing One Ring today, continuing Waking of Angmar campaign. We're getting very close to the end here. And I really mean that this time.
God damn it, Jeff.
Okay. So good news and bad news. It is a success with no extra 6s, but I did roll a 9 on both of my feat die. So it will be, it's a keen weapon. So that's going to
Roll for a
possibly wound it.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. So I got to roll. All right. So these do actually have thick hide. So it does give them some armor against this. That's going to be an 18.
18 is the injury rating of the weapon.
Okay. Then I'm good. I needed to hit. That's the target. That's the target number.
Well, phooey. So then does it still just do the straight 5 damage? For just
no, you're still going to do the
success?
damage. The damage is still going to go through. Yeah. Like, no doubt.
All right. Whole 5.
You was close. I actually rolled pretty well. I rolled a 6, an 8. Hang on, let me do the math again. 6, an 8, a 2, and a 2. Okay. Next up, Tara. You've got 2 on you.
Okay. Let's say 24.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been 25, but one of them's a 1 when I'm
Sure.
wary, so got rid of that. But I did get a Gandhi.
All right, that I got to roll another.
Yay.
All right, that's worse. That's 16.
Injury rating's 19.
Okay, describe how you kill this one.
Same ruthless efficiency of taking out the windpipe and just resolve as she is splattered in blood.
So 2 of them now lay at your feet. One of them is clinging to your forearm as you keep trying to get it off you, as this was the one that was able to bite you. The other 2 lay at your feet. You are taking them out. They are only a might 1 creature, and they don't have a ton of endurance.
Nice.
Basically, I'm just kind
There
of
were
calling
like
you guys out for
6 of them. It would have been okay. The 12 is where it was.
I know. I totally agree, which is why I said, hey, there's 12 of them.
Oh no, we were totally warned.
You said 12, but your accent made it sound like 6.
I actually misunderstood the plan. I thought the wolves were tied up and we were going to go past them
I
towards
did
the
girl
door.
math, you know. Is buy one get one free?
I
could have run
just
past
don't
them.
understand you Americans. That's what it came down to.
I do feel like if you would have run past them inside, fought the orcs inside, and then eventually they come free, you guys would have got sandwiched between orcs and orcs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just feeling some.
You guys
some
are
regret.
fine. Everything's fine. Gilly, you're up.
Mal, I would like
fire.
to purchase 2 dice, and I am hitting the one that Aurenial already hit.
For a whole 5.
Hopefully.
You can do this.
Oh God, ones.
I rolled a bunch of 1s and still succeeded earlier, so
You guys
It
roll
can
so
happen.
many dice, you probably should most of the time.
and then sometimes we don't.
Are you? You're not weary. It's just Flynn terrible weary.
Aurenial is not weary.
Rolling a d12 and 14 d6s.
19.
Oh.
Okay, so I rolled 19, so it hits.
Okay.
I have a 8 on my 10s die, and I got a 6, so I'm going to spend it to make it a 9 so that you roll for a wound.
Gotcha.
Base 4
targeting-
damage.
You're targeting the one that she already. Oh,
She
that's
already
a
hit.
terrible roll. So that's a 4, a 2, a 2, and a 1. So that's a wound, Ashley. So Gilly,
Yay.
describe how you take out the one that is on Aurenial.
So Gilly's been kind of behind Aurenial, and this is when, and like her point of attack is she kind of like steps out behind Aurenial and quickly shoots. So this one she shoots, she just kind of catches it again, just kind of straight through the jugular,
Mhm.
and it just doesn't nicely land, but it definitely hits in there, and it kind of sputters and then falls to the ground.
All right. Well, I mean, you've gotten through half of them. So the good news is that there are 6 wolves. You all wanted 6. There are, in fact, 6 wolves. Took 20 minutes longer to get there. All right, let's go through it then. We'll start with Tara, because you only got the 1 on you. Tara, you're in defensive, so it's going to be 1 less die against you. And I rolled a Gandhi, so screw that. And it's a 9. So you're okay, actually. So
Sweet.
Tara's doing pretty well. Let's go over to Daggett. You've got 2 on you. You're in forward stance. Actually, you knocked 1 away. So only one.
No,
of
the one I knocked away died.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The other one came up because it got caught on fire. All right, you're right. It's 8, 10, 12, 15.
I mean, yes, I knocked 1 away. 15 is my parry. So tied.
That is
Meets it, beats
that's
it.
exactly it. That's a target number. I got to roll that. So 6 points of damage, nothing special. So let's see.
I am weary.
More than half the party is now weary.
All right, second attack on you. God, freaking Gandalf. Sorry.
He's my
that
best
is
friend, to be fair.
It is a 12. God dang it. All right, so the second one doesn't go through. It's another Gandhi.
We bonded over bad cheese.
Wait, I thought I was your best friend.
No, you got a lot more cheese to give before you get to that point.
One is on Aurinial. Aurinial, you're in open stance. Okay. Well, that's 2 6s, but also 2 1s. So that's a 14.
Nope.
All right, so that's going to miss. And then I save the best for last as we go over to Floy, who was wounded, who was outnumbered, and who was in forward stance.
Yeah.
So it's going to have
the wolves.
Oh, fuck. Let me take
Freaking
that
about to.
shadow
That sounds
point.
good.
I cannot believe the number of 1s I'm rolling today. All right. It's still going to be an 18, but I rolled 3 1s on that. 18 to hit. How's that, Floy?
It's
Okay, it's only straight. It's only the base damage. I didn't get anything good. Any 6s. 6 points of damage as they go right after the same wound.
still standing.
Let's find out. All right. Oh, that's a much. Oh, freaking A. That's a much better roll. 10.
That sounds bad for Floy.
24 with 2 6s.
That's not good.
shit.
However, I did roll very low on the feet die, so I'm not going to do a wound. So I'm just going to do heavy blows, which means you're going to take 18 points of damage to your endurance.
Oh, God.
I'm going to take half of that and still go down.
Still go down. I took a peek at your sheet, so I knew where you were at.
All of you notice that Floy falls, and the wolves are just biting and snapping away at him. And you can see Kobar's cleaver clatters to the ground. Not only that, the doors to the keep open, and you see pouring out from it are what appear to be not all of the orcs. That's silly, but you do see there are 2 orcs that are starting to run down the steps in your direction. One of them stops halfway down, and you hear them call back, and you assume that they're probably, calling for help. All right, but only the 2 of them will be in this round. Go back to you all. Your turn. What would you like to do?
Time to start retreating, guys.
Yeah.
You certainly can.
So it takes an athletics to get away if you're not in a rearward.
Oh my gosh, we
or it
never
was-
look at these
attack.
rules. Let's look these up. Yeah,
Fly away
Last time I remember
fools,
doing it
rules.
was Othran goal.
I'm pretty sure I have it in here. Hang on. You need to. Okay.
So you need it's something about you have to be in defensive stance and you do have to make an attack and then
You have to be
make it
successful.
then
Yeah.
you're able to retreat.
Oh.
Yep, that's right. Page 104.
Thank you. All right.
So I don't change my stance.
104.
If you're rearward,
That's
you
counsel
can
for
choose
me.
to escape when your turn comes. Otherwise, it's a defensive stance.
Steven, it's page 103. 104 is the start of the council chapter. You guys want to have a council with these wolves?
It's right above that. It's fly, you fools, in that little box on the top right.
Well played. Well played. Okay. All right. So yeah, first assume rearward stance. Okay. So anybody, and Floyd's on the ground being eaten by wolves. Threadcat said Google Translate didn't do very well with it. What they basically said was, "Hey, there's a dead dwarf out here. What's this dead dwarf doing out here?"
No.
All right. So are you guys abandoning Floy?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
Terrence.
Okay.
I mean, they abandoned.
I mean, we can run away and not abandon him. At the same time.
Zamir and Conan, but yeah, it's fine. He's way better looking than Floy.
All right.
All right.
So
That's the criteria for abandonment or not.
And,
You know
yes.
what? I'm here
I'm a
for
very
that.
shallow
That-
person. Come on.
I'm here for that.
Thank you, Mitra. All right. Stances through
I'll go-
round. Two orcs have entered into the fray. They have shouted back. It is just a matter of time before more orcs come pouring out. What they've been doing inside, you don't know. There are 6 wolves remaining, some of which have been injured. But there are 6 wolves remaining, and there are now 2 orcs that are getting ready to run into the fight. The one that kind of lingered and shouted back, you can see that they are pulling their bow down, actually, but the other one is charging into the fray.
I'm going defensive, and I'm going to try and get Floy on the way out.
Okay.
Can you go rearward and get him on the way out?
Only one person can be in rearward. Technically, I don't know if we can still even have one person because we're outnumbered. But we can't have two people in rearward unless we outnumber them.
Which is sort of weird because if we're all running, then we're all going to be in
number
rearward.
2 is otherwise they can assume a defensive stance rolling for their attack normally. If their attack rolls success, they do not inflict any damage.
Oh,
I
see. That's what you're doing.
So you don't have to go into rearward.
Right.
That's what Steve's
doing.
That's why I'm in defensive.
Enough.
Okay. I'm going to say since you're trying to get Floyd Daggett, I'm going to make it ill-favored to try to do both in the same
That's
turn.
fair.
Yeah. Okay. The rest of you, Gilly and Tara and Ari, what are you putting yourselves in?
I'm staying in defensive.
Okay.
So shouldn't modify anything.
Okay.
I'll go to defensive if I have to.
All right.
You can stay rearward. Like you can be the one in
I'm
rearward.
pretty sure.
I'm
you
thinking
can
of
stay
asking about the
rearward.
count.
I'm sorry. What?
You've been in rearward. You can stay in rearward. The rest of us can go in defensive.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
So
you can
terms-
retreat just for an action. You don't have to make a check, Gilly.
I am going to. All right, I'm just rearranging the targets since Floy is down, and there's 2 more fights. I'm gonna say one of the orcs is gonna hop down and get into close stance into melee with Tara and this other wolf. The other one remains on the steps, bow drawn. One of the wolves that was chomping away at Floy will kind of charge down that path towards where Auriniel has been standing. And then I'd say the third is, let's see, I'll roll randomly to see who it goes after. It's going to go after, it's also going to go after Auriniel. All right, so there's 2 that are coming down that pathway between the standing stones in the direction of Auriniel. Okay. Floy is down, so we're not going to pay attention to his turn. Auriniel, so all of you are in defensive stance. Auriniel, Tara, Daggett. What do the 3 of you do?
Try to get away.
Okay, so in order to do so, we're doing the fly you fools like Steven found. You roll your attack normally. If your roll is a success, you don't inflict any damage, but instead you manage to leave the battlefield instead. If your attack roll fails, you remain engaged. Congratulations. Or sorry. Probably sorry. It seems like that.
God, I got a 6 to save my life this time. But
So
I
that's a
did
great
succeed.
success.
Okay, so Tara, you got a succeed. You succeeded on your attack. Okay,
Yeah.
So-
with a 26 on a Gandhi.
and you're trying to retreat as well.
I
Or
am.
okay, all right.
I am, and assist with Floyd, getting Floyd off battlefield if I might.
Okay. Well, if 2 people are going to be doing that with Floyd, because I was going to make it ill-favored to try to do it all at once for Daggett. I will still keep it ill-favored, but since you're helping, I'll say that Daggett can get a bonus die.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So the orc hops down, you shoulder the orc, they kind of stumble into the wolf, and the 2 of them become tangled up, and that allows you to run back. Do you run through the standing stones, or do you run down the path?
Path.
Okay. I'm just saying, there doesn't seem to be any danger, no enemies or anything like that within that field of standing stones.
I'm tempted.
Well, Daggett, actually, no, I think we're going to do Ari. Ari, how'd you do on your roll?
Great success.
Great success. Same thing for you. You're able to, as these 2 wolves come storming, racing at you, and the third one was already on you, you managed to take the kind of flat part of your sword, smack it across the side of this warg who goes stumbling down. The other 2 kind of kind of sort of slam into it. Now you have 3 wolves that are trying to get back to their feet. Gives you an opportunity to start running. Daggett, very important roll. Ill-favored, bonus die is Tara. If you fail, Tara is back in the fight because she stayed back to help you.
Fine. That is
Well,
totally fine.
The ill-favored takes away that 10 and makes it a 2.
That's what I like
However,
to
it's
hear.
still a 17 which is a pass. They've got +2 parry, right? I needed
They got plus
13
one.
plus whatever.
Plus
okay,
one
so I
parry.
needed 14. So it's a
right.
great success.
All right. You and Tara, each of you grabs an arm and you begin to haul away as these wolves
We start
are
going
dealing
different
with
directions.
fire. Yeah, and you pull his arm out of its socket, but you run past. Okay. Gilly, you are in rearward. So you
Run.
You just
Can
run.
just
Yeah,
run.
you don't have to do anything. No roll for you. All right. So all of you begin running. You leave the battlefield. You hear shouts from behind you. You hear a horn go off, a familiar kind of orcish horn. You've heard them, 100 times before. It's nothing new. But you can also see that there's it's not like they're giving up chasing you. So you do see as the wolves are torn, it seems, between following the commands of these orcs. As any one of you that looks over your shoulder, you see a handful of more orcs are coming down the steps. You hear the sounds of air, of arrows flying through the air, landing at your feet, left and right and left and right. But you do manage to kind of slide down that ridge to the southeastern side of the tower, and you go tumbling into this dark ravine. Sun has fallen. You all have managed to get away from battle, but you have not managed to elude them. There are very fast wolves, so I'm going to say give me a plan for how you all manage to actually hide here. Like, you're carrying a limp dwarf, and you are being chased by wolves, and you're being chased by orcs. So how are you trying to elude them or hide from them? What do you think?
I'm thinking trying to do something to kind of throw them off our scent. So I'm thinking Irinial is, despite having the wound, is actually endurance-wise doing okay. So I think she would try to kind of take kind of some part of her attire and sort of go off in a direction to try to kind of gather their scent and, kind of like
Okay. You want to lead them away.
run something like up a tree or something and then kind of circle back to everybody else.
Let's do a hunting roll. I think your hunting knowledge will probably apply here as you're kind of using it almost in reverse. So give us a hunting roll.
All right. I'm just going to take 1 for this because it's already favored.
All right.
That is a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15. Regular success.
Okay. Hey, it's still a success. Who else is contributing to something to this? Is Gilly or Daggett or Tara, are you doing anything that you think to help elude or hide or whatever it might be? What are we doing?
Gilly recommends maybe for if Daggett's willing to help stealth like the entrance, like hide it. And I'm thinking Gilly would kind of want to do something where she travels out a little bit, cuts herself, and wipes her blood on arrows and just starts launching her arrows in different directions to create other possible scent locations.
Okay. I think
Nice.
that let's roll hunt again for it, because it sounds like you're doing a similar thing to Ari. We just established a roll, so I think that makes sense. Let's do that again.
Okay. Mel, if I could get 2 dice, please.
Get it.
And let me know how you do.
9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 17. Oh, thank God. I needed a 16.
Okay.
I pass.
All right.
Just
Any
pass.
extra? Just regular? No. Okay. So, Ari, you go off in one direction. You're trying to lead some away. You hear the sounds of snarls and howls, and you can tell that some have pulled off in your direction. Gilly, you venture in a completely different direction from Renia. You cut yourself. You wrap something quickly around your forearm. You get some of the blood onto the arrows, and you just fire, and far away from, off to the south, off to the west, like away from the whatever path you might be on. And you can see that it groups, like you're definitely spreading them out. They're thinning them a bit. And so some are going this way. You also can notice that some of the orcs have actually gotten on top of some of these wargs again as they're riding off in this direction or that direction. Daggett or Tara, how are you contributing?
I'm looking for place that is sort of the nukiest, the cranniest of where we are that we could probably like tuck into.
I like the nukiest. That is honestly one of the greatest words I've ever heard in my life. I will take an explore or a scan. If one of those sounds better than the other to you.
Explore sounds great because I can use a thing on my helm.
All right,
My
perfect.
helm
Yeah.
does some shit.
The Helm of the Red Hills is the Scouts of Cardolan.
Granting
you-
1d6 when using the skill to find a path out of wilderness and allowing the player to achieve a magical success.
So you could actually achieve a magical success with this. What is it? You spend a hope. Is that right? You
One
spend a
hope, yep.
Yeah, spend one hope to get an automatic success. You still roll because you might get additional successes.
Sure.
But you would if you want to spend a hope.
Yes. Please.
Okay. So go ahead and do your roll. As
Sorry, let me just make
you're
it
looking
out.
around, for a moment, it almost feels like this last dying light of the sun far to the west that's almost completely oblivious to the fact that Angmar exists suddenly courses through the land and blinds you for a moment. Your hand goes up to your brow and rests ever so slightly on the sigil, the red hills with the stars over top of it of Cardolan, the long dead successor kingdom to Arnor. And you look around and you see just for a brief moment that light lands on a wall of ice and stone, and you see a crevice that suddenly was lit that you did not see before. And you're able to get Floy and Daggett and others to sort of pay attention to this small little crevice. What was the total successes you had?
So I got a 19, but I had to get rid of the one because I'm wary. That leaves you the 612.
Okay, so
Gandy and a
magical.
success.
Yeah. That's a lot. And then Daggett, is there anything you're doing other than carrying Floy?
I think if Terra is guiding us and they're hunting, I think I would focus on just taking the brunt of Floy's weight and just, heaving him over my shoulders and just running. Just focusing on breathing. That's the key.
Athletics. Give me an athletics test. Just give me a flat athletics.
Yeah, I'm going to take spend a hope to get a magic success on that one.
Hell yes.
Which is good because I rolled 2 6s, but that's still not enough. It would have been a fail, so just 1 success.
All right. That's still plenty as you all manage to find a small crevice in the stone and ice wall of this ridge that leads into this cave that is, when you first ventured in this direction, you had no sight of it, but this small and brief light that came down from the heavens instantly led Terra here, Aurenial, Gilly, you managed to come back just as you see Daggett with the body of Floy over his shoulders plunge between the crevice. You follow. You hear the distant sounds of snarls and howls and barks, shouts of orcs as you can tell that they have scattered. Right as we'll say Aurenial, you're the last to plunge through. Terra as well. You hear the sounds of the paw prints, and you look up at the last moment and you can see the legs of one of these wargs coming down the ridge line. You can hear them galloping away, and you have managed to find a very small hidden cave and a ridge underneath that kind of plateau-like area where the tower of Kelech-Dûr is actually situated. You guys are, at this point, completely away from these enemies.
So as soon as we're safe enough, Gilly is gonna immediately tend to Floy. Especially, and she's gonna be kind of panicked about it because she's treated this wound once before.
Yeah.
And it's been years. It should not, or at least a year. It shouldn't be opened.
It has been almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just the fact that this particular wound was somehow able to reopen has her kind of frantic. And I did take my shadow point for when Floyd got his wound. If anyone else has their what is it? Your fellowship focus
Fellowship
was wounded,
focus.
you should take a shadow point.
So
You're
who
not
got
wounded,
wounds?
right, Gilly?
Floyd got a wound.
No.
Anyone else
Did
get a wound?
Daggett get a wound?
No,
Okay.
I did
cool.
take the
Just
shadow point.
I
So
got
if
my
anybody-
wound last session.
Okay.
Oh, I should take a thing for that.
All right, Gilly. Floyd, why don't you go ahead and roll, by the way, for your wound severity?
God.
And then we'll see what Gilly rolls to reduce that severity.
Okay, thankfully this is favored because I did roll a Sauron, but I can
Then-
ignore that.
9-day wound.
Okay.
Good gracious.
Okay, so I do pass, but it's just one extra success.
Yeah, so reduce it to
So-
7.
Yeah.
Okay. You managed to find, again, you're effectively in a cave at this point, as that's where this crevice led. You no longer hear the sounds of the wolves, and so you're pretty sure that you have made a clean getaway at this point. Who knows if they're going to cycle back and look more closely, but at least you have some time. You settle down into a spot where you can rest. Gilly tends to Floy. Obviously, you probably have your lantern out to give you some light. It's extremely cold and dark, this stone that you're in. All of you are tired, weary. You're wounded in some cases. What do you want to do?
Well, I would say that was a successful distraction. Excellent work, team. Should we loop back to the tower while it's empty?
Feels like a good idea. We need to get in.
That was not at all what I thought we would do, but I see there's a lot of them in there. We took out 6 riders, which means there's 12.
Yeah, so, and we don't even know what else was already in the tower before we got here, before the orcs got here.
Well, we emptied out most of it, too.
And if we are going to further benefit from all the distractions you've all caused, now is the best time to do that. They will not continue to be distracted later.
The Wraith. Did we get him?
No.
What?
We were fighting wolves.
No. Wolves don't cause this kind of wound.
We left as soon as you went down.
Did you hit your head?
No, my head is fine. You didn't hear the cackling. Just laughing at me.
It was a battle. There was a lot of noise. Was it one of the wolves yipping at you?
No, it was for sure the Wraith.
I do not disbelieve you. If you say it was a wraith, it was a wraith. Which means that there are the rest of the wargs, plus all of the orcs, plus at least one wraith.
I
Is there
don't know
wisdom
if
in
we
returning?
should return at this moment, but I think what we could do is multiple of us have bows. We can find points, continue to fire upon the wargs, see if we can find any separated, since we have scattered them at this point and thinned their ranks. But Floy is wounded.
Even with them scattered, if we try to attack them, they move so much faster than us. It would not take long for them to regroup, I would think. I would say we head to the tower with the cover of night, with them looking for us out here. Or we wait.
We also, and I, of course, we cannot know the outcome, but what we first saw upon our arrival was wargs that appeared injured from a battle and bloodied attire bearing the marks of those from Tharbad. So it would appear that some ill came to our allies at Mormeen Terras.
We must trust that they can do their jobs.
And they're trusting us to do ours. I'm ready to head back.
I give him a slap on the shoulder. Oh,
He takes 1 point of damage and falls back unconscious.
Are you certain, Floy?
Well, what you say is true. They're out looking for us. Their numbers aren't at the tower. Might have been hastily rushing in there like that, but we can do more of a stealth mission.
Daggett and Gilly, perhaps you can lead us in this. Your stealth is unmatched.
we get in the tower, we bar it behind us, clear it out.
Let me assist. And Tara will offer Floyd physical support and it's probably athletics roll or whatever, but it just kind of brute force helping Floyd.
Okay. So you're going to try to stealth back up. Okay. So everyone just rip a stealth test. As you leave this, we'll say you're probably here. I'll also say, would you say that you would have immediately healed Floy? Actually, Floy was down, so it probably would have been an hour. You guys, so those of you who aren't wounded, you could have taken a short rest in that time.
Amazing.
And gotten a number of endurance back equal to your strength. If you're wounded, you don't get anything, though. Sorry, Floy. Sorry, Renil. But the other three.
That's great.
When
Doing
you
great.
once more emerge from this cave, it is much darker than it was before, if that's even possible. It's just this horrible gray that Angmar is mostly, but here it's now quite black. I assume, Gilly, you have your lantern out, or do you guys just kind of go in the dark?
If she does, it's very dim. Like she's trying, it's not like a wide, warm cast circle of light.
Okay. I am going to say that if that's the case, everybody take a penalty die to your stealth roll. Meaning reduce by 1d6.
Gosh,
Not so much to be ill or favored, but it's very dark and you are literally going to a watchtower.
Oh no, totally. Stealth is not Aureliel's.
Do we
forte.
have enough audience die? Because I would use one if we did.
Yeah, go for
We've
it.
got 12. So that is enough
I
for.
I also
I
cast in a
won't.
few complications. Sorry, guys.
I'm gonna spend hope and try to get inspiration from my burglary, the stealth,
Okay.
or accessing protected area.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh,
That would totally apply.
that's nice. That's
Mine is
nice.
a success.
It's not something you tap
with
into very often.
1/6.
Mm-mm.
Tara
Okay,
with a
so what am
success
I-
with a bonus.
Yeah,
Subtracting.
success with 1/6.
Just one fewer d6 from your pool, Orneal. That's all. Whatever you normally roll for stealth, subtract, take 1d6 out.
Oh no, I was just asking from audience. Like I just want to make sure I'm marking off used.
I didn't use one.
16, great success.
Okay.
I
I
also got a
just
great-
barely hit my target number. One
Nice.
success.
Okay. Gilly.
I got a great success.
Okay. Orneal.
Also, great success.
Okay.
Had to do the
You
math
guys-
because there was another one. Because tonight's the night of one.
It's a nice one. Yeah, for sure. All of you did wonderfully. I mean, you have literally all passed. You even had 4 to spare in case somebody failed. Venture back up. You see that the fire has gone. They have not cleaned up the bodies of those wargs that you did kill. They are scattered about. As you're moving down the path between the standing stones, all of you hear cackling, echoing left and right. just mad laughter. You look over to the left, you look to the right, you don't see the source of it, but you hear it, and the wind just kind of hits you in the face. You don't see any orcs moving about, you don't see any wolves moving about. It does seem like they have scattered. And you are able to reach the stairs. Do you go up them?
Yeah, I'll take point. I'll go up the stairs and push open the door.
I asked Floy, is that what you heard before?
That was it.
You push the door open, Daggett, and it does the classic, this loud,
Oh, gosh darn it.
echoing creak. Like that everybody winces when it just prolongs this agony, like this lengthy sound. However, there's no one on the other side of the door. You look and you see a very dark chamber with, and mostly in rubble. Like you can see that there's been some tables and such that have been rebuilt or just kind of stacked up here and there. You smell meat, and you can see what looks like some game, something killed. You're not sure exactly what it is. It's certainly not warg meat. It's not human meat. It's something else. You've all been hunting periodically. There's very little game in Angmar right now to find. You see that there are a handful of pieces of equipment here and there, as if they left in a hurry. But you don't actually see any orcs. None have actually cycled back. They might all still be on the hunt for you. Looking around the room, it's a fairly large but ruined base floor. There looks to be a stair that would have gone down, perhaps to a subfloor, but it has collapsed completely inward on itself. It would take you hours and hours, and probably would need some equipment to unearth it. It's possible, but it would take a lot of time. There is a broken stair that goes upward. At one point, it gets very narrow, but it nonetheless can be traversed. You can see that it's got a very heavy coat of grime, and you notice that there are no footprints on it, no boot prints on it at all. Doesn't seem as though the orcs have gone up this stair. Looking around the rest of there's a couple smaller compartments here and there, but again, everything seems ruined and broken. It definitely looks like there was a barracks here at some point, and it looks like there are sleeping portions, like little places where the orcs might be sleeping from time to time, but they're not currently here. And that's what you see as you traverse the area.
I would get everyone in the tower, close the door behind us, look for a way to bar it, start lighting the candles that I have for my helmet harness, and I would start barking orders in tyrannical fashion. Floy, Aurenial, pile everything you can. We're going to start a big fire in here. Tereneth, you have the best eyes right now. Keep an eye out. If you see the orcs coming, if you see any sign of them, call out the alarm. Gilly, come with me. We're going up.
I do what he says. I start gathering sleeping bags.
Sure.
Packs.
There's parchments. There's cloth. There's old broken furniture. Some of which you could probably use to create some kind of bar for the door. You could tell that there probably was one at a certain point, and they were using. It looks like spears just to sort of sit on the inside, but you can easily do that. Tara and Ari, do you also do what he says?
Yes, specifically looking for a vantage point that would give me as close to the view as possible.
There is no view of the outside from in here.
Yeah.
There's not a single window. There are, which you can see is a little further up. It's a very high walls in this bottom floor. And you can see that over by where the stairs are, there is one cut in the wall that is just overloaded with ice that just seems to be half pouring down the stair. But you don't see anything that would give you sight of the outside.
Is that a ways up, or is it like something
The
can get
stairs
to
go
in a
up.
couple of seconds and come back down in a few seconds if I need to?
The stairs go up. You can traverse them. They're intact. They're a little crumbled here and there to the point where they're narrow, but you can go up them. It wouldn't be difficult.
Right.
And that's where Daggett and Gilly were going. It was up, I believe.
Mm-hmm. There's like a landing. It's
Hide
one of those
yourself.
classic up, turn, up again, that kind of thing.
You could hide yourself outside the tower by the stairs, close enough that you can call out, and don't be afraid to run if danger finds you faster than.
That's exactly what I'll do. Conceptually, what I'm trying to do is trying to find something that gives me access to the outside. And if the only way to do that is to be outside, then so be it.
Okay. So Terry, you go outside. You find a place to hide. We can roll over your stealth from before. It's fine. And you find a place to hide outside and keep watch. Floy, you're inside doing what Daggett's saying. Orinial, are you helping Floy? Are you creating that fire on the inside? Are you doing everything that Daggett was saying?
Yes, we are following our captain's orders.
Okay. What about you, Gilly?
She's hesitant about separating from the rest of the group and going up top, but she'll stealth up there with him, but don't do anything stupid. If we sense magics, we need to get back down with the group.
Stupid. It's me. And I start turning towards the stairs.
Gilly, your arrows have saved many a day. I believe you can.
I don't have
today.
magical items. I cannot kill a wraith.
I believe that your arrows will fly true.
Just listen I will scream. And
I believe you.
Okay. That is a good question. Do you still bar the front door knowing that Tara's outside?
I would say so, yes. If it seems like we could get the bar open fast enough, like for us to get out if she calls a warning, then I would say yes. If it would like require us actually like hammering wood in there, I'd say no.
I would say no, because if she's out there, like, have it prepped and ready for her to bar if she needs to come inside.
Yeah, I'm sort of imagining like if the door opens in, then it's like we're piling a bunch of stuff up behind it so that like when she comes in, we can kind of move all of it forward. But we are not barring her outside.
Okay. Got it.
That's my thought anyways. Group
Sorry.
can vote.
Not completely barring the door with Tara on the other side of it.
I always love when yes or no questions turn into like 3-minute explanations. So is that a yes?
No, it's a no. The short answer is a no.
Daggett, Gilly, you both go upstairs. The stairs do a little back and forth a bit. There's a landing before you kind of get to a door. Like the one out front, heavy stone, in fact. And it takes a not inconsiderable amount of effort to push it open, but you are able to do so. Once more, you hear it scrape along the bottom and this creak, and eventually it stops, but halfway open. And you try to push further, and it's hitting something on the other side. There is no light at all coming from the second level. Who goes inside?
I'll squeeze in first.
Daggett, you squeeze in. Presumably, Gilly, are you following?
Got a hand on his back, looking in the opposite direction where he's turning.
Okay. You notice as you come in that the door seems to be stuck on ice. There is this giant structure, this giant wall of ice. And Gilly, as you hold the lantern up over the shoulder of Daggett, you can see that this entire room is almost completely filled with ice. And there are these borers that sort of shift and move through them that you kind of have to hands and knees kind of crawl through. You have to climb up on it, but everything around you is this dark kind of cloudy ice. And that is what the door is stuck on as you come in.
So it would be like impossible to see across the entire room then, with the ice being that way, right?
I will allow a awareness test or a scan test, depending on what you're trying to look for.
I'll just look for danger.
Okay.
If you want to scan for something in particular.
I want to scan for something shiny to make my boy Floyd happy.
Okay. Go for it. He's had a rough day.
Help you with your recovery. Something shiny to look at.
I'll take an audience die too.
Okay. Gotta get that treasure.
Great success. I
Okay.
still rolled 2 ones though. So many ones tonight.
I know.
Same.
Gilly, how'd you do?
Great success.
Okay. Gilly, in terms of danger, there's nothing that immediately appears dangerous to you aside from the fact that you're kind of crawling through these circuitous bores of ice through a floor, a very tall ceilinged floor.
Mhm.
Like you're in the middle portions of the tower, and somehow this entire floor has just got ice in it, and you're weaving through it in no discernible order. You don't see anything moving other than you and Daggett. You don't see anything that immediately threatens you. However, both of you, as you're moving a little bit here and there, kind of getting closer, further into the room a bit, you can see that it's not just ice, but within the ice, you can see almost like you're looking back in time to frozen in place, in action, these depictions of elf and human warriors forever frozen and locked, it seems, in some kind of battle with orcs. Their dress is not consistent with that you've seen of your Rivendell friends or your Forlorn friends or Lady Aracel or her people. There's a greater dignity to the clothes that they're wearing, almost as if they're all in some kind of uniform of some kind. Gilly, you would recognize at least some of the humans have sigils not unlike that which Iriniel carries on her helm. You would think these are soldiers of Arnor or at least Arthedain. Hard to distinguish the two. Elf-wise, you certainly see what you think is the sigil of Rivendell, that of Elrond, that of Elrohir and Eladin's father. Like, you've seen some of these before. And you can see as though all around you, there's dozens of these small fights as you're climbing through. Some are quite far and deep in that ice and cloudier and harder to see. Some are closer to you and a little bit easier to see. Daggett, you see more than enough shiny things in here. Swords, necklaces, pendants. I mean, there's plenty of things that these people are wearing. You don't think you see mithril necessarily, but you see elf weapons. You see weapons that are, I mean, you would guess 1,000+ years old. And I would say it's probably Gilly who notices the fact that none of these figures that you see encased within this ice, this kind of trek through history, all of them, every single one of them, their eyes are missing. Orc, elf, human, does not matter. In place, it is just this black, dark socket, these recesses, every single one of them. Both of you go ahead and make shadow tests, please, against Dread.
Okay. In Dread again is
It's the opposite of wisdom.
So Valor. Okay.
Valor. I couldn't remember. I was about to say glory, but that was a different game.
And I didn't want to interrupt you, but if we were going to start crawling through, Gilly would have pulled out her pots and paints and would have marked the path that we had gone along for others to follow.
Problem. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Cool.
I had a target number 18, and I knew I wasn't going to make it unless I rolled a Gandy, and I rolled a Gandy.
Wow.
And yet, think back to how you treated him. I think Gandy should be kind of against Daggett with how he treated him.
I roll a lot of Sauron, so I'm okay if that becomes my new Gandy.
All right.
Amazing.
One success, Daggett.
Just one, yeah.
Take a point of shadow. It was against 2 points. Gilly, how'd you do?
Just one success, so I also take
Same
one.
deal. Both of you take 1 point of shadows. This is an extremely unsettling view as you're climbing through 1,000-year-old battle when the forces of elves and humans combined chase the Witch King back to Angmar.
Is anything that we're seeing anything that was made as statues that were depicted when I was in Forlon?
Not that you can think of now. That these look like they've literally been frozen in place.
Got it. Okay.
So all of these shiny things, they're all on the people that are frozen, right?
Mhm.
Like they're still equipped and things like that.
Oh yeah, but they look in pristine condition. You see, it's tough for a dwarf sometimes to admit this, but elven craftsmanship is quite good.
Still, I'm not going to rob a grave.
And who knows what treasures Arner and Arthadane might have had. The Dunedain that you know now, the Rangers of the North, are a scattered series of tribes. But at least back in this day, they had kingdoms and vaults and treasures, and they are bearing some of them.
I've seen enough, Gilly.
Okay. Keep moving.
You climb through, continue to push, and you continue to try to find a way out. Tara, you're outside. You're hiding in the shadows at the base of the tower by the stair. You're looking for any signs of returning wolves, wargs, orc riders, etc. You see none of those things. That is the good news. The bad news is that you see almost in unison about 20 to 30 of these sanding stones suddenly begin to glow. And you see figures stepping out from them. These ethereal specters that, with your shadow lore, you probably would identify them as such. Not unlike the very creature that it's very similar to the creature that you all fought back in the angle. And you see them step out from their stones. And they are dressed in rags and armor at the same time. They move in like this shifting manner. Like as if they're constantly in this phase between the corporeal world, the unseen. They do not notice you, though. They do not come lurching in your direction, but you just see them come and step out and begin to almost aimlessly start wandering the grounds.
Are any of them making their way to the entrance?
You don't see any of them as if it doesn't look like any of them have any interest in going up the stairs and into the tower. They all seem to just kind of, there's no order to it. Once they stepped out almost in unison, they all just kind of began to scatter in different directions, but they are within range still of the tower, but none of them are going up the stairs or inside.
Right. Is there any familiarity to their uniforms or what they're wearing or the weapons they're carrying or really anything?
Roll a lore test.
That is something I'm favored with, so it's good. That is a sorry, I'm using up all the good rolls today. It's a 25 with a 6.
Okay.
Yay.
They bear a resemblance to some of the sketches you perhaps saw in the old library in Tharbad when Gilly was doing her studies of this or that or the other, they definitely bear a striking resemblance to soldiers of Angmar. Hillfolk of Rudour. You don't see anything that makes you think these are your descendants, your Arner, Cardalin, Arthidane, none of that. You see enemies effectively.
Okay. Quickly and quietly, I'm going to make my way back to share exactly that with everyone there. Specifically making mention of the number of between 20 and 30 emerging from the standing stones.
And you did know from Daggett and Gilly's scout that these standing stones are all around the tower. So if this is all happening out in front, there's likely
probably
more.
At least double.
Yeah, I would somewhere in the neighborhood of 60. Yeah. What makes you all nervous? And then multiply it by 10. That's how many there are.
Oh, okay.
There's 10,000.
You hear
just six wolves were enough.
Right?
You hear a gentle knock, very light knock on the door to the tower.
You think that's Tara? They're here.
We did leave it open a bit so that she could come in.
And you see Tara goes inside. Now the three of you are inside.
Yank her inside. Okay. And we've barred the door closed.
I will share the news, and I specifically say they are specters, so physical fortifications may not be as useful as one hopes.
Well,
the news is they do not seem interested in, or if they are not interested, it might be because they do not know we are here. Perhaps if they did, their interests might change. But right now, they don't seem to want to make the way in.
We will not question.
Let's see why the orcs avoided them earlier. Maybe they'll avoid them now. We'll be safe for a while.
There is an army out there. We need to figure out how to get past them. I do not see us being able to fight them.
Let's catch up with Daggett.
Do you guys go upstairs?
Yeah, after we pile all the furniture and stuff, we'll catch up.
And if that's the case, the three of you see the same room that Gilly and Daggett have seen. I would say you guys are smart enough to notice the marks that they have made along the way. But I would also say that your eyes are drawn to a number of fights, battles between elf and orc, human and orc. Elf and human dressed not unlike those that you saw stepping out from those stones outside, Tara. And I want all of you to take that shadow test. If you decide to go upstairs, if you decided to stay, then that's fine. You don't have to make this roll. But if you went upstairs, make that shadow test. It's valor. And Floy, you also see the glittering of treasure.
Ooh.
Valor. That's a 16.
Great success on my valor.
Okay. Great success is enough to not take anything.
27, great success.
Nice.
That also is enough. You said 16, Tara? Do you have any extra sixes on your roll?
No.
All right, take 1 point of shadow as you do feel quite unsettled by the views that you're seeing, especially the eyeless nature of all of these figures. Okay. So, Floy, Reniel, Tara, you're climbing, you're crawling through. Daggett and Gilly are up ahead. Daggett, presumably leading the way. You eventually find a set of stairs going up. Once more crumbled. Once more very clearly has not been traversed in some time. The orcs were here on the first floor. You saw the first set of stairs. Now you see the second set of stairs. And again, there are no boot prints. There's no signs that the orcs have actually traversed this tower or gone up any further than that first floor. But you do see a set of stairs going up, which you would presume to maybe the third and tallest portion of the tower, where that dark ring of mist seemed to swirl around it, like shadows seemed to coalesce. What do you do, Daggett?
I want to be very quiet and careful. Probably put out one of the candles so I've still got some light, but I'm not giving off as much. And then slowly move forward.
I'm going to presume Gilly still got her shoulder on you, or on your shoulder, and the two of you march up. You push through a door again. This time, it does not catch on anything. It opens smoothly and quietly, Daggett, into an extremely dark room. You can see almost nothing. You can see almost nothing. It's extremely, overwhelmingly dark to the point where it just feels almost palpable. You look down at the flame of whatever candle you still have, and you can see it. It's almost as if it's starting to die. Even Gilly's lantern dims in the face of this darkness. You hear nothing coming from the inside. It is as quiet as can be.
Well, I feel like I've seen enough. I'm happy to go back downstairs.
Look at
I think Gilly stepped away, so you're making the choice yourself.
I know, right? Like, Ash is not here, so it's up to you, Daggett.
Yeah, I think I would close the door again, go back down.
Okay.
There's no point risking waking something up. The darkness is obviously magical. I don't know anything about magic. Better not to deal with it by ourselves.
Okay. You move back down the stairs. Gilly follows, and eventually you meet up with Auriniel and Floy and Tara, who have followed you basically. And so all of you now have found a pocket of ice within this chunk of ice in the second portion of the tower. And you are able to, sort of debrief each other on what you've seen, observed, etc.
There's a cloud of darkness up there. It envelops you. It dims your light. I've never seen anything like it. I think we should burn the tower and move on.
I feel that it might be wise to use this tower to our advantage. Are there not ways that we can use our height to take out some of the enemies? Because otherwise we will be outside of this tower facing more enemies than we were facing just a few hours ago.
No windows. The balconies are frozen over. There are no defensive positions inside here.
We've come across this darkness before. Do you remember when we were in the library and our lights kept snuffing out?
I thought about that, but I wasn't there.
There's darkness here that we need to snuff out. And if what Tara says is true about the specters outside, they're connected to this darkness up top. So we must deal with this if we want to be able to get out of here. I had to crush the skull. That was the only way that we were able to do so. So we will, one, look for artifacts. If it is truly a wraith, you both have weapons that can deal with this, and we'll move forward.
You're right, Gilly. We're familiar with this.
You have the best memory of us. Your note-taking in your journals may save us in the end.
But look at these artifacts. I'm trying to budging them from the hands, just if they come loose at all.
You can't even get to them. There's sheets of ice. You'd have to you can. You could get to them if you hacked away for hours, but you could. But it's not something that you could just easily grab. But you can see things, beautiful elvish weaponry. You can see pendants being hung and kind of in the frozen in the middle of being hurled around as someone swings down with a sword.
So given this new information, could we do like a scan or something like that? Not like, because we've taken in sort of the awe of this situation, but now we're specifically looking for something like the skull that Gilly had to crush last time, like something like that amongst
in this room,
everything that's here.
I don't think it would be in this room. I think it would be in the top room.
Yeah.
It would be where the darkness is located.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because Gilly, I think she went into the darkness to get to the skull. So.
Okay, Floy, let us know if you find anything you think can be useful for us. Otherwise, we need to go back up.
Nothing here. It's all ice.
Yeah, it does seem to be magical ice. I wouldn't waste the time with it for now. Perhaps defeating this creature would thaw it for you a little. And she looks at Floy.
Oh. But I'm ready.
All right, then back up the stairs we go. Gilly, put your lamp on as bright as it can be. I light both my candles.
Okay.
I'll take point.
You all plunge into the darkness of the 3rd floor. Immediately, your candles wick out. Nothing. The lantern dims until it's nothing more than a very light glow. You get a little bit from it, Gilly, but even your lantern gets to the point where you have maybe only about a 2-foot radius around you. Mm-hmm. Anybody else with torches or lanterns or candles, all of that light quickly just gets snuffed out. You all feel this physical weight weighing down on you like the most humid of days, except it is this darkness and it's freezing cold in here. Are you staying together? Are you huddling around Gilly? Or are you spreading?
I would recommend staying huddled together, because if we can't see, then we need to be able to kind of feel each other.
Yeah, if anyone does separate, Gilly starts to pull out her rope again and hands it to everyone to kind of have a tether.
That's perfectly fine. As your eyes adjust, and as the lights kind of wick out, you notice that on the far side of the room, there is another source of light. Very faint. This sort of bluish hue. It is almost silvery, I should say, on the far side. Circular, but not very large. And you can feel stone on the ground as opposed to ice. It's all very echoey. Everything kind of sounds the way you might expect it. As you're moving around, Gilly, you notice that the floor, there is writing on the floor. Everywhere. Every stone that you take a step on, you bump into like a half wall, you hold the lantern up to it, more writing. And you see the common speech, you see Westeron, you see various elvish tongues, multiple, not just the ones that you've heard Sorendir and Elro here speak. Dwarf speech as well, Floy and Daggett. You read some of these conversations. Some of them mean nothing to you. But then as you're traversing this darkness, you start to recognize some conversations, or at least some conversations reference places. And it starts to read almost like a transcript at times of, well, it certainly seems like it's referencing figures from that war with Angmar 1,000+ years ago at this point. You see names, you see places, you see the reference to Fornos Thorain, you see references to Rudauer hill folk and how bringing the tribes to heal. It's very much like someone has transcribed and documented these historical conversations. You keep pushing, and then you start noticing more conversations as you're getting closer to this light. And you can see that some of the conversations now look intimately familiar. You all are referenced. Gilly's name Floys, Daggets, Aurinials, Terras. There's references to each of your company. You realize after a moment that you are reading conversations that you all had in the staging ground where you and your company have been camped for the past few weeks since your arrival in Angmar. They're all just scribed down on the walls, almost verbatim as far as your memory. And then you look up and you can see on the wall there is a circular mirror framed in silver. There is like a sheen of cold blue ice over top of it, very thin. You realize a few things. Frozen around the frame are a series of eyes. And then within the frame, where the mirror would be, where the mirror should reflect you, it does not reflect you. Instead, you see what appears to be a very dark throne room. There is a seat of some brutality in terms of its architecture. Dwarven, in fact, Floy and Daggett. Very dark, dark shadow where whatever figure would be sitting on it should be. You're watching this, and you see in that pool of darkness, in what should be a reflection of the five of you, you see two eyes just pop open. And you hear a cackle from behind you. And that's what we'll go ahead and stop for tonight. And we'll pick up on that next time.
No.
Hey.
No.
Crap.
We made a new friend. How bad can it be?
We're gonna go for another hour.
He's a very cheery guy.
I mean, I can. I'm just trying to be respectful.
Oh, goodness. Yikes. We went back in. Holy crap.
What the totally.
Jeff
guys.
made a
makes-
tower. We can't explore. Can't not explore it.
I'm in a
No,
lot of
totally
places
right.
in Angmar, and you guys are probably not going to explore all of them, so it's okay. It's okay. I thought you guys were running. I thought you guys were going to give up and go back to the camp. And so when you started talking about turning around and go back in, I'm like, well, I'll be damned. Maybe we will finish next week with the ttrpg. And I will get that wonderful, wonderful gift certificate from Norse Foundry. Thank you, Eric.
Right.
Okay.
That was
That was
crazy. As I
amazing.
said in chat, our characters are far braver than we are in our decision making.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you all are. I mean, we're playing. You know, Lord of the Rings. You guys are heroes. It's
Yeah.
very. You guys are. That's
Yeah.
what this kind of game is. You know, like you guys
Yeah.
are heroes. Okay, fantastic. Why don't we do a couple kind of closing references and such? So I want to say thank you to everyone who hung out tonight. Thank you to those of you who threw out some bits and stuff, and thank you for all the follows. Looks like we got quite a few tonight. We are closing in on 1,000 followers, and we are getting very, very close. I think we're down to 9 away. So if you
Single
haven't,
digits.
if you're watching right now and you haven't yet followed the channel, please consider doing so. If you're watching this later, maybe on VOD or on YouTube, go over to twitch.tv/Lollygaggers. Give us a quick follow. We definitely would appreciate it. Let's talk about upcoming games. Actually, no, let's go to MyTray first. MyTray, where can we find you on the internets?
When I'm not inviting myself into the games that people here are playing, I might play games on YouTube. I had taken a bit of a hiatus, but I'm looking to get back into creating content once more. But if you want to check out my backlog, the Brady Centers, player and GM experience, tabletop agnostic, check me out on YouTube if you want.
Fantastic. Wonderful. I'm so glad to hear you're getting back to it. Awesome. Okay. So other things on the channel. The next thing we've got coming is a Monday. So come back on Monday as we are going to be starting a new game. We're going to be starting Fragged Empire, space sci-fi, small indie game out of Australia. I'm very excited about it. You can see Melissa and MyTray is going to be joining us every other Monday for playing some Fragged Empire. I'm very excited. So we're going to be making characters. We're going to be kind of going over the different awesome species and things that you can be and how to create characters. A little heavier game than it's back is probably about on the same par as Wondering. So looking forward to that. And then Tuesday, Steven, what's going on, man?
Tuesday, I am back into the GM seat. If you guys are fans of X-Men, you got to show up, and we will be playing Marvel Multiverse RPG. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're not a fan of the X-Men, show up anyways and tell me in chat that you're not a fan of X-Men, and then hang out with us anyways.
Good plan.
You get it. You get it. Absolutely.
Who's
Yeah,
not a
absolutely.
fan of X-Men? Absurd.
That's a fair question. That's a fair question. You should come on Tuesday and tell us if you're not.
Yeah.
and why. It's that whole. I always think about it with YouTube. Like when people make bad comments or when people like thumb down, I'm like, well, thanks for the engagement. It means the same.
Yeah, seriously.
Appreciate it.
Ding the algorithm.
Dumb. Gets the dumb go. It's funny. Okay, and then after Tuesday, what else we got? Thursday, as we have just started up Werewolf, we did our session 0 this past Thursday. So this next Thursday, next week, we're going to start up episode 1. You can kind of see our pack and what we're going to be doing. Friday next week, we got Delta Green, and we're nearing the end of the scenario. I don't think we're right there. I would suspect maybe 2 more sessions for this scenario, and then we'll start a different one. And then we'll be back on Saturday with more Wondering. You can see just how awful this could potentially get. I am actually really surprised you guys are in here, and this could be pretty rough.
I'm terrified.
You should be.
It's gonna be fine. There's only an army of ghosts outside, and
Only like a
And
wraith
a
or
horrible
something even
mirror.
worse. You know?
I still think we should have just
everything
burned the tower
inside
and
is
walked away.
awful. Everything outside can't
Yeah,
be
let's
run
burn a
past.
stone
So
tower.
Burning
I
the
had 'em,
tower
like, build
would
a
have helped with
bonfire
some
inside.
things, but not everything.
Take out the stairway, and nothing will go up there ever
Certainly
again.
help some things. Okay. So then, yeah, I guess that's about it. If you haven't followed us yet, please do. If you haven't checked us out over on YouTube and watch all our old content over there, we put all our stuff that we're currently doing over there as well pretty quickly. But if you haven't checked that out, plenty of old games. I think that's about it. Why don't we go ahead and let's raid some folks. Let's looks like Happy Jacks. Yeah, let's do Happy Jacks. We raid them time to time. Go ahead and follow that raid. We'll catch y'all later. Have a great rest of your weekend. Good night.